shit these last several days. And
yeah, hopefully they didn't catch the S. But yes, you have to be nice. What was that about being nicer? Let me just do that.
I just need to be more
Yeah.
genial. Although I can't help but laugh because one of our I guess biggest fans, and we're in the first 30 seconds, so I won't say his name for YouTube purposes, but he just goes by Carlitos on some other places. He tweeted out the other day, he's like, I'm thinking about
Nando
moving
the
back to
Noticing?
Mexico. No. He says, I think I'm moving back to Mexico because he lives in Canada and he's Mexican.
Oh.
And then he was like, no
Oh
one,
yeah, Carlito.
yeah, no one tell Prude
Big,
because
yeah,
like,
big.
yeah.
You know, yeah.
Oh well, yeah. So I thought that was funny. I was just like, wow,
He's moving back to Mexico.
maybe a man can
That's a
hope.
good start.
That's a good start.
Okay.
But this
Out of
is
all the
two. This
people I
is
want
two.
deported, he's not one. He's not one.
There are two. This is two presidential election cycles like back to back where biological warfare has been used against like the general population.
Oh man.
We had the clown vid and the BLM riots, and now we've got all this like migrant stuff, and even like New York City's mayor like Eric Adams is disrupting schools. I saw videos today where they're like closing off sections of the Chicago O'Hare International Airport to house these people.
Yeah.
Absolute bioterrorism.
They had to. They
There's my
had
hot
to.
take for the day. Biological warfare is real, and it's not
Well,
just.
didn't you put out? Did you put out that article yet or no?
No, I didn't. Although, ironically, I know you don't like the guy, but
You have to read Birth of Biopolitics to
well, yes, you have to. I agree with that. And I've read that. But I know you don't like the guy, but Med Gold made a very similar observation this morning, where he's just like, "This is two election cycles in a row where like a virus is used to sway the election," and I was like, "Damn, that's a really good take."
He had to use all his brain cells to come up with that take. But that is okay. Yeah, I know. As much as I hate him, that is a good take. I shouldn't.
I was like, "That was a good take." You don't. It's like that
Speaking
meme
of moving
from
to
the
Mexico,
Onion. It's like it's the whole Onion thing. Man, you dislike just made a really good point or whatever.
That was like Camp used to come up with good takes back in. Well, I mean, I should say a logo. I always had a deference for logo, but no.
That could be a fun
logo.
That could be an album. Deference for logo. Or it could be like a
That could
Christian
be
rock
it.
brand,
No,
like a Christian rock brand, deference for the logos.
Well, that's like that Death in June song, Daedalus Rising,
featuring E. Michael Jones.
Yeah, logos, right? Yeah, deference for logos. That could be a Christian like metal band right there.
I know. Oh man, I just saw the title for this episode, "Tunneling Through a Young Adult World." Yeah, we're tunneling.
We live in a young adult world.
We do. We live in the age of Arrested Development.
That's
not
the whole
just the
point of the
show, but yeah.
Yeah. There's this one line in this article from the point that I thought was really great, because I mean, it does have a feminist bent, but we always get through that type of stuff. But anyways, how are you, Prude? Do you have anything exciting recently or content?
I was arguing. Well, not arguing, but I was on Oren McIntyre earlier this week, and we sort of talked about the whole Harvard Claudine Gay quote unquote scalping, and
oh yeah,
I got to play the.
White people invented scalping actually?
Oh really? I thought it was just something we took from the Indians and made better.
That's
but,
that's what some like black.
I know. I'm just advocating for total Anglo excellence.
Listen. White people invented scalping. You may know the other. You may not know it to be true. You may know it to not be true. But do you really
have facts to the contrary? But is it really worth losing your job over? That's still one of the best things Howling Mutant has ever done. That's such a great format.
It's funny about the housing, because Howling Mutant, I was gonna say, did have a good take too, where you said like during the Obama years, like places like New York and California, they basically voted for this mass immigration, or during the Trump years, as a way of like doing the sanctuary city activism thing. But now that it's like the chickens are coming home to roost, then they're like, oh, I guess we regret that one now. So it's but they'll never regret. Anyways, go on.
Well, they can't publicly regret. Well, maybe they can, but I mean, it's they have to live with the consequences of it, and I just feel like it's that whole bit from the Joker that you just get what you bloody deserve.
Someone played that when they kicked Jimmy off a fish tank. He's like, what do you get when you cross an I forget the exact line. It's been a few years
An
since.
antisocial loner with a society.
Who's
I
the
don't know.
somebody?
I haven't seen that movie in forever, actually.
Yeah,
I watched
my
it when it
favorite.
came out. I did see it in theaters, and then that was it. I haven't watched a lot of movies or television as of late. Uh, and I
I'm
kind of got
trying to.
spoiled when I was on vacation because my friend was just like, "Oh, I've never seen True Detective," and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna correct this right here and right now." And we basically binged through like the first and second season of the show, which I mean I've already
Whoa.
seen. And upon a reviewing, I really do appreciate Mystery Grove defending season 2 so much. It's
Yeah.
much better than people give it credit for. And Vince Vaughn can actually act when given proper material. And it's such a disappointment to know that like he's forever associated with like really crappy early 2000s rom-coms and boner comedies
Yeah,
he
boner
actually when he
comedies.
has real acting chops. Like, some of the stuff that, it was good, and
Well,
I'm
even a
willing to
movie that
defend it.
was like so over the top, like Cell Block 60. What was it called? Cell Block 99. Like
Yeah, it's
even that.
great. That's
Yeah, it's
great.
great. Yeah, good acting.
It reminds
Pro
me of
life
that, like,
message
really
too. Pro life message.
crappy what crappy '80s movie was it with, like, John Lithgow, where he was in prison and he had to, like, join, like, the Aryan Brotherhood or whatever, and it's just, like, the most unbelievable shit imaginable where John Lithgow is, like, playing it completely straight as, like, a hardcore white supremacist in prison, and
Oh,
he's like,
Shot Caller.
"Thank you, yeah, shot caller,"
Yeah,
and, like, they've got that, like, brutal fight scene about, like, Aryan dominance or whatever for, like, initiation, and you're just like,
yeah. This is
"This is
too
John
much.
Lithgow trying to fight, like, what the hell is this?"
Every prison YouTuber on like every prison YouTuber, they're like, yeah, this isn't entirely accurate. But I like Lithgow more as Sugar, or was he Gordon? I forget. In Black Hawk Down. Than I did.
I don't
Well, I
recall.
guess like Jamie Lannister made him, right? So it's yeah. Jamie Lannister is a Black Hawk Down, which I mean, we might get Black Hawk Down 2.0. That might be a possibility this year.
Yes, a US Army helicopter crashes outside of Chicago.
Escape from Chicago. um no, but okay, so I guess we're just rifling off takes here. So let's go
Yeah, we're movie
the
take,
migrant thing in New York. Is
migrant
there any
takes. Yeah,
movement
it's a
with
good
that,
time.
or yeah, is there any movement with that, or are they just gonna let it go? I don't know.
I mean, it's gonna keep going. It's not like anyone's getting deported anytime soon, so, I mean, this is gonna be a
Yeah.
problem that continues, and, I mean, like we said at the very beginning of the show,
But
it's just
Fetterman wants to deport them now.
I
So
you know, I know it's
maybe
been said by, like, every normie con on earth, but there's something really funny about a Democrat who gets brain injury and then all of a sudden starts talking sense. Like, the implication of this is that we should make all politicians mentally retarded.
this is true. This
Spain
is like
has
the
the right
Osho
idea.
take.
Spain has the right idea.
Spain.
Well, they had they had that
Spain?
that that lady with Down syndrome get elected to Spanish parliament. I'm sorry, like, she's probably smarter than 80% of the people in there.
Yeah, Spain really took a nosedive when they entered the Eurozone. Well, they really took a nosedive when you know who gave up power, and that was it.
Well, I mean, when
Um,
Franco died, it's
Franco
kind of
died,
been
that was
downhill
it.
ever since.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's funny because like even the Mediterranean countries are sort of suffering like this, not as dramatic as Ireland, but like sort of the post-Catholicism malaise, I guess you could say. I mean, Italy's not far behind, but Italy is like Italians are like way too proud to like let their country go totally the crap, but it's still like the signs are there. I mean, no Italian wants to have kids anymore. That's a problem, you know. But yeah,
Well, what country that's developed European or quote unquote Western that wants to have
is that
kids
a
right
subtweet, Ben? We should elect obese artists. That should elect obese artists. But anyways, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just like, well, what country in the West does? We should elect obese artists.
We
Do you
should.
mean Gio or Lizzo? I need
Lizzo.
to know. I'm okay with a
Lizzo can play
unity
a few
ticket.
chords on the flute.
I'm okay with a unity ticket, you know. but Gio has to be president.
GOV Lizzo. Well, you know what's funny? They wanted to make the naturalized citizen thing. I remember Alex Jones had this like thing like years ago where he's like, they're gonna get rid of the naturalized citizenship rule to make Arnold Schwarzenegger the president. Like Schwarzenegger as the president, that would be, you know. But anyways, what were you saying, Prude, about? Here's the thing, Lizzo, they made Lizzo play was it Ben Franklin's flute or what's famous?
James Madison, I think.
James Madison's flute.
I think it was Madison flute, right?
Yeah, it was Madison.
Yeah, it was.
That's crazy. That's, you know,
James Madison crystal flute.
How many like symphony flute players has America produced? Probably a lot, right? If they went to Juilliard. They gave it to Lizzo.
I don't know, to be perfectly honest, but it is just absolutely depressing to know that he didn't help fight and start a country for this, you know. But
yeah,
I will withhold any spicier takes for the obvious reasons.
Anyways, you were saying about the post-Catholic malaise in
well, not just Catholic, but I mean just in general of like the West. I mean, what chat will probably call me out on it, and I hope that they do because I don't know it off the top of my head. But is there a Western country with a positive TFR, like above replacement TFR?
I don't think so.
You know, because to me, it just because I know everyone. I'm going to reference the prequels, and I apologize, but like, you know, we can't understand it. She's lost the will to live, and it's just like I can't understand it. These nations have lost the will to live, you know, and
Yeah.
and this is why you've seen so much discussion over how do we enchant the world again. And I have an essay coming out on this very soon. Again, honestly, if you want to write more, I highly recommend, like, this goes for everyone, not just you, Gio, but like if you want to write more, just rant into your like phone microphone and like record it and then upload it to Substack and then use your notes from or it'll transcribe it for you. And it's a great transcription tool.
I have to do this.
Almost one for one. It's like really good. I've only had to make a few edits. And then I've started using that outline from my like verbal rant and I'm turning it into an essay. So I just ranted into my phone. I went on a walk yesterday. I walked for about an hour and I got a good 30-minute outline rant over re-enchanting the world. And that'll hopefully come out either this weekend or next week. But I was like, man, I'm really happy with this. And yeah, so that's what I was thinking about, was just that. And I think it fits very well with the article we're going to cover today, because we do live in this world of arrested development where everyone is allegedly still an angsty teenager, and we want to keep that going. And, you know, when you're an angsty teenager, it's easier, I think, if you're an actual angsty teenager, because like there's young love, there's a life, there's the partying, there's the all sorts of avenues of how you can live your life. But, you know, you can't be a teenager, angsty teenager, when you're like 32, have an apartment, a cat, you're quote unquote adulting. At what point in time are you just lying to yourself and begging the magic mirror on the wall to tell you that you're 17 again when you're really like 17 years older than you actually are?
Yeah.
And that's the big curse, I think, and I mean, this affects women more than men. I mean, there are man children out there. God knows that there are, and to some extent we probably are ourselves, but it's very bizarre to see it play out the way that it has. That there has been this, and it goes back to our friend's book, Marty Phillips, and his book Millennium. I think that there is this sort of post 2008 malaise where, you know, we got stuck and we haven't recovered from the big sad. And they call it a recession. It was a depression. You know, we never recovered from the big sad 2.0. And so, you know, that means we're instead of making, you know, nice dresses out of flour sacks, we're just buying cheap plastic shit to fill the hole in our the void in our hearts, because we were told we were going to be great things, and then no one really did become anything great, and the country just slowly got progressively worse. And then you're like, well, this sucks. How do I keep myself happy? Well, you know, the same thing we said after 9/11, right, where we shop till we drop, and you know, no terrorist is going to interrupt my shopping spree. No recession's going to interrupt my, like, you know, true crime podcast binge. And it just,
you know, what's funny is
more depressing.
I remember. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Prudence.
No, that was it.
No, I remember like in the 2000s there was this thing about like critiquing open displays of public consumption, like on Black Friday or whatever. But now you don't see that anymore because I think that that's sort of like very like passive consumption that's all online now. That's Amazon. It's not like a spectacle in the public eye like it used to be. So I think it tricks people into like thinking that we don't do that anymore. But who knows? Maybe in the future, like hipsters on TikTok that that like uh sorry, I'm getting distracted. These hipsters on TikTok that like sew or like do these crafts, maybe that's going to become more important for reasons that are obvious in the future. Um,
Well, did you
but we'll
notice?
see
And
what
I don't
happens.
know how big it is in Canada, but I mean in America, of course, the overly lit up display of Christmas lights on the houses and trees is a
That's
very
right. Where are the super chats? Is it too early in the morning to give super chats? Come on, you guys
most
limit
most
your economic
most
activity
of our
for
hardcore pay piggies are used to afternoon shows.
yeah. I'm not gonna make
No,
anything on the stream.
oh,
See, better. We're gonna have to talk about the tunnels too. It's never getting monetized.
it'll get monetized. Just don't
Oh, the tunnels are actually a lot less interest. Well, it is interesting, but
panic
it's
at the Shabbat, a tunnel you can't smoke out.
we're getting ahead of ourselves. Anyways, you were
But
saying, Prude?
so no, I don't. But in America, the Christmas tree lights, the lighting up your houses, the yard displays. This is a very suburbia kind of deal. But like, I was driving around throughout all of like late November and throughout December, and there was not a lot of houses lit up, and it felt almost as if this year there wasn't Christmas in the materialistic sense of the word. Like, yes, there was shopping. Yes, there were the people from the Salvation Army ringing outside every major grocery store and Walmart and the like, asking for donations and things like that. And yet, at the end of the day, it didn't feel like Christmas at all. At least in sort of that materialistic Christmas sense of the word. I mean, I still went to liturgy on Christmas Day. I went to services at the cathedral for Christmas Eve. But like, there's the America has such like a really hard cut divide between like the religiosity of what's left of it and then the sort of consumerist aspect of what Christmas is. And even on the secular buy shit for your presents because you got to type deal, it just didn't feel like Christmas at all. And I was wondering if if the whole Christmas tree light
Mhm.
deal or the yard lighting is a big thing in Canada as well. I just noticed that it wasn't really there, and almost as if people. I mean, the lights, the festivity. I mean, even if you're not a religious guy, you don't like Christmas or the nativity. Like, people like the lights. People like the festive attitude that comes with the year at the end with the nativity, and that feels like, again, another part of disenchantment with our current times. It's like, oh, people are done. Why bother?
Yeah,
I don't know. Did you notice that this Christmas time?
I think yeah, like there definitely is something about it. Like, I mean, they're the excitement around it isn't as yeah, isn't there. Um, Sorry, I'm trying to get entropy set up, but do I have to like go to the physical YouTube thing and put on the URL of the stream?
No, 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 no. So you'll log into. Hey guys, we're all doing tech support live on the air. You're lucky I can't do a
No,
very
no,
good
but it says
Indian
like
accent. Otherwise, this would be really entertaining. So no, you're logged into Entropy. Yes.
yeah, with my
Okay.
YouTube
So click to
account.
start streaming, and then
No, I
you'll
did
have
this.
some options.
Oh, go live. Okay.
Yeah.
No, but it
Just hit.
says enter stream URL. What the fuck? What does
Okay.
that
Okay. But
mean?
down. Okay. There's like 6 options, right? And then there's that one
Right.
little one down at the bottom that just says go live with Entropy.
Okay. Let me
Click
see.
that, and then it'll just stream it for you, and then leave that
Start
on.
streaming. Mm.
Have you tried turning it on and off again?
No, but like I'm trying to do the password here, but it's not. Like,
Oh, all right. Well, at least he's trying, everybody. He's got
I'm
Entropy
trying.
going. At least you can find a way to send him some shekels that way. But
No, no, but like it's not. It's not like. Anyways,
okay, we'll have to do
start
this off the
streaming.
air.
Yeah. Your
Oh my!
YouTube API access is being cut off on April 28th to ensure that your kids. What is this? Entropy's getting canned by YouTube? Is that what
What the
it is?
hell is it?
Yeah, I think
I'd
so.
have to check with. Okay, well, this is a great show so far.
Anyways, you were about
We're having
Christmas,
a great
yeah.
fucking time, aren't we, guys? You know, we're talking about
I'm tr-
Christmas tree lights. Where we haven't talked about anything that's remotely interesting. I do want to give a shout out to our friend Pat Casey for reviewing that horrendous debate between Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. Um, Also, shout out to Chris Christie, my other favorite obese art performance artist.
No.
He dropped out of he dropped out of the presidential race. He endorsed Golden Corral for the Iowa caucuses. So Golden Corral is going to have a great showing this Iowa on the 15th in just a few days. So yeah, I mean, 2024 is a shit show. But I do feel as if the procedural manipulation is going to be for Nikki. Like, let's just not kid
Yeah.
ourselves. We want our Hillary Clinton, but with a slightly swarthier complexion. And by God, does the establishment GOP and some billionaire donors, they're going to get it.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah,
I'm totally confused. Like I have no stomach for this entropy stuff, so I
I
don't know what
can
I'm gonna
tell.
do. Yeah. I'm frustrated. But anyways, we were talking about consumption. Oh yeah, there's one thing about um there's this one comment I wanted to highlight because we were talking about the birth rates, right?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Is there a
Um
Western country with a positive TFR? If there was, please, I hope that's in chat.
Even if Iran has low birth rates, but they have well-educated women. Yeah, that was. I hate to say it, but that's probably.
That that's the forbidden hate fact that you know, you can talk about race or whatever, but the forbidden hate fact is that declining TFR is um, inversely correlated with women's education.
Yeah,
The more
there
educated
seems to
like
be
the
no way to get
female
around it.
no, there really isn't. And but I mean, like, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, we should be like the Kizzen from the Man Kizzen Wars, where like women are totally just like bred out of their like form of consciousness. And that's a fun alien concept where like, oh, you know, our females, they don't have a higher sense of cognitive function. They're just there to breed. That's what makes them so effective for us to like maintain our population. And like mankind is like, whoa, you dehumanizing fucks, what is this? And interesting bit of science fiction, but it's not that I'm advocating for that. Heavens no, it's just it's interesting to see that, you know, this is the fundamental problem with sort of our educational standards, that we've let women in there. And now, of course, the usual complaints right now that man has to compete against not only well qualified men, but well qualified women. And this board is stacked against them with DEI. And that's a whole other thing. We've got our whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the terrain happening with our lovely airline industry in America. So it's going to be a great decade. I love it. I can't wait. I can't wait, Gio.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
yeah, it's gonna be.
Where's your
It's gonna be
energy,
something.
man? Like, come on. This is like a morning
No, I'm
radio
still trying to
show.
screw around.
We're
I'm
tuned
screwing around with
in to
entropy.
KN
I hate
995,
this.
The Rock. Now Imagine Dragons will start playing.
No, but the TFR thing, like, it's actually it came up recently. Okay, I don't know what I'm gonna do about entropy. It's not letting me do it. It's not presenting the
Well,
stream
we
key
will
or
figure
whatever.
you, Gio. I will walk you through it when we do screen share after the show.
All right. No, but like, okay, so they came up recently because it seems like every month there's a number of tweets that go viral. And one of them is about the the South Korean radfems that are choosing voluntary extinction.
Oh, they took
And
the Thomas Ligotti pill.
yeah, and like there was this one take that said I wanted to cover it on Content Minded. I don't know if I'll have it out tomorrow or Saturday because I've just been, busy or I don't know, dejected or whatever. Either way, either you're busy or you're just too I don't know, you're too dejected to actually make content. But no, there was this one take where it's like, anyone, a society that's so misogynistic deserves to be extinguished, blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, throughout human history, I guess that standard wasn't held to a regard. But I think there is something to be said. Like, there is something to be said about there, like a lot of Asian countries, like their attitude towards family life, Japan in particular. Like, I think Brittany Venti had an all right video about it, but it is crazy though how people will take sort of the culture war explanation and they'll blow it up to like extreme proportions when like this trend is probably marginal relative to the like other factors as to why like North Koreans, for example, aren't having children, which has to do with like various economic and some cultural factors, but not like, I don't know, like I just don't believe like that the meme of like the South Korean rad femmes choosing voluntary extinction has that much of an effect on like why people aren't having kids, as opposed to other previous trends in just living in like a somewhat like, not that they're Western, but like, you know, they're South Korea is pretty much approaching like Western, you know, quote unquote democracy
Well, they're
levels
worse
of
than us in
ways.
some capacity. I mean, like we do. I
Yeah.
mean, a good. I mean, if you're going to put the effort in, right? Like, yeah, you're probably going to work more than 40 hours a week. But I mean, when you're culturally inclined, and also there's the economic factor of expectation
Yeah.
to be working
Like they're a
70 to
hellscape
80
besides
hours.
that.
Huh?
Yeah. No,
Well, I mean,
like I
like,
was saying, like they're a hellscape besides like this radical feminist stuff. You know what I mean?
yeah, well,
Like
I mean, the
it's
marketplace
yeah.
for one is fucking insane. I mean, again, I mean, housing, yes, that's an issue, obviously, but I mean, also just
Yeah, housing
80-hour
is
work weeks, you know, and that's the
yeah.
cultural norm and expectation. And like, you know, when your labor laws are sort of built around the idea that we're just going to work 70 hours a week, that is basically two full-time jobs for an American,
Well,
right? Or a Westerner. That's an insane comprehension thing to think that, yeah, this is what's expected out of everybody, not just men, but the women too.
well, that and like, so if women also like, if women have to like bear family life, like there's actually like a pro European, pro Western argument in that, in the sense of like men are more deferential in a lot of like our cultural context towards family life, whereas like especially in Japan and North Korea and South Korea, they don't have that deference for some reason. Like that's the argument that Brittany Venti was making. So there's sort of like a you know, like a wignat feminist argument you could make about like that, like, you know, we're more pronatal in the sense that men are also expected to like bear the brunt of family life. But that being said, it can't, I don't think it's probably like, there is certainly a factor, and I'm sure like the meme of like Asian men being creepy or whatever, that's certainly polluting like that assessment from like a wignat feminist perspective. But there is something like, so I don't want to like blow it out of proportion for nuance, but like there is something to be said about that factor as well. If you're having to work like crazy hours, but also women also are expected to do most of like family work, then it's like, you know what I mean? Then it's like, what's the point? And then I think like even the Asian families having grandparents, apparently this doesn't work because even in South Korea and Japan, like a lot of the grandparents are boomers that have that uniquely like boomer mindset of like, we don't care about grandchildren. And so, you know what I mean? Like that, if you factor in even grandparents not being able to take care of children, then it's like, it's over. It's over. You know what I mean? Um, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree
I
with
think
that.
like boomers hating their grandkids, that's a big factor as to why people don't have children. But anyways, yeah, go ahead.
Well, you know, well, I can't. I actually can't speak to that because my grandparents are in their mid 80s
They're
actually.
not
So
boomers though. They're like
no,
just on the cusp
they're
of being one.
silent gen, I guess is what that
Yeah,
would be, right? You know,
yeah.
let me make sure.
They're
Um,
not boomers, Prude.
yeah,
Boomers
1928
are in
to
their
46.
70s,
Yeah, that's true. Boomers are in their 70s. Yeah, my
70s and 60s.
all
Yeah.
my grandparents are silent gen. And my parents had me much later in life, but
Same
yeah,
with my
no, um,
parents.
maybe that's why we're a bunch of autistic retards. You know, they had us a little later in life, but
Well, I don't
uh,
know. My old man was exactly 30 when he had me, so I don't know.
I'm being slightly facetious, Gio.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, don't take do not take everything I say at face value, or at least on the Digital Archipelago.
My old
Other
man's exactly
other
30
places
years
maybe
older than
more,
me.
but not here.
Yeah.
No, I just to I we do not know. I do not know enough about Korean culture to make any sort of judgment call as to why they are the way that they are. I can only speak from the outside looking in.
Right, of course.
I would
Yeah.
hate to pollute this place with my Westoid brain, as some have previously mentioned. But like, it's an
But
important
the
thing.
rat fem in Korea, like that is an interesting
Oh, that's
like
a very real thing. I
yeah,
mean,
it's a real
when
thing.
they're
It may
having
be more marginal than
Western
it is in
media when
explanation.
Western media talks about elections as quote unquote like the incel election, I know things are bad here in America, but like, damn, maybe maybe the incel should rise up more and
Well,
run
like
run the
even
country.
Slats had a point about China, right? I saw this tweet that blew up. I think the guy deleted it, but like she's like, well, if you have like for example in China where like they aborted half their women, it's like, what do you expect? What do you think's gonna happen? You know,
Yeah, and
during a
the
one
same
child
problem is
policy.
out there for China and for
Yeah.
India. Like, there's just an excess of.
India has a population problem.
I'm pretty sure they have a pretty big like gender gap in terms of
Yeah.
male to female ratio in India. I'm pretty sure it's pretty rough. No, it's not nearly
Plus
as bad.
their
It's
women
not it's not
like
nearly as bad.
yeah, it's not easy. But their women do like marrying white men, so that's also another problem.
There's also the other problem of struggles.
Indians they don't
Um,
have very good gender relations. Even
well, and it's funny because
even like a red pill manosphere person could look
I
at
just
India
looked
and
it
be like,
up. As of
nope.
2020, there were around 100.1 men for every 100 women.
Oh, so they have more women?
No, well, I mean, it's basically 1 for 1,
Oh man.
with
Yeah.
slightly
You need
more
more
men than
women.
women.
Yeah, you need more women to have like optimal. I think that's always the rule. Like there's always more women. So
Yes,
yeah.
there should be at least.
But I wonder what the rates. See, I have this theory that after a few generations, the TFR of Indians or well Punjab, well, I mean they're still genetically Indian, but like you know Indian migrants to Canada that they're gonna like drop off a cliff as soon as their women go to university. It's over. So maybe that's why they have to keep importing more of them because like I noticed that the younger Indian families will still have children, like they have like 2 or 3 kids, but like I think in a generation or two, um, the Indians in Canada they're not going to have kids anymore. So
Well,
I don't
I
know.
mean,
Hope
this is
no,
the perennial debate, right, about sort of
or all the
the
women will
Isla
marry white men. I don't know. It's just you never know what's going to happen.
don't get your hopes up, Gio.
It's
Um,
okay.
I don't know because it's the same. It's the big debate over like the at least in America or at least in North America, I should say. I don't know how much it will be in Europe.
Yeah,
But like you know, I know, and also the claim is that a lot of rich Muslims or Arabs or whatever come to the North America, and the poor ones stay in Europe, or they can't get any
yeah,
further,
100%.
which is 100% true. But
Yeah,
if you're an affluent Muslim and you go to the mosque or whatever, I hate to be Indian Bronson here for a second, but the likelihood of him being like a Muslim like yourself, praying 5 times a day, going to the mosque, etc., talking and having a good relationship with your imam, probably not as high as the likelihood of your son becoming like a
a gangster rapper.
secularized gangster rapping like white liberal
Yeah,
who may
100%. Like that
dabble in
one video in England.
homosexuality or trans stuff. Like I hate that like the ultimate weapon that like the West has is liberalism to some extent, where it's just like,
Maybe
listen,
James Lindsay is correct. I
yeah,
don't know.
maybe James Lindsay is the ultimate like
He's the ultimate
anti-Muslim
neocon.
crusader, where he's just
Yeah.
like, listen, I don't care how many like brown children I have to turn into transgenders, but like liberalism has never truly been tried, and I will try it here on this earthly Jerusalem where classical liberalism will reign for 1,000 years. And if you want to
Yeah.
sign up, sacrifice, your Islamic children to like, James Lindsay's Moloch or whatever. I don't know. Like there's a weapon inside all this, and it's terrifying to know that like in the United States, per recent Pew Research Center polls, um homosexuality and the acceptance of homosexuality is higher among American Muslims than it is
And
evangelical
anywhere
white
else in the world.
Christians. Absolutely
Whoa.
insane. Absolutely insane stuff.
Well, it's funny because all that stuff Basil says about the Muslim world. No, I'm not gonna have those takes. It's maybe we should get Basil
I
on the
like
show.
Basil. I just I don't know what Basil is.
He's Afghani.
No, I know that part, but like
He's a
he's not.
celibate gay man.
Oh well, it's like so like an Afghan Mr. D.
Yeah, like he's one of the good
I didn't know
ones,
he
you
was
know.
gay.
Well, you didn't know that?
No, I don't ask questions, man. Like I see good takes, I retweet them or I like them. You know.
I think Basil's take, they're gonna be the takes of the future because like he's already clocked how like Indian women, Muslim women of all sorts from either the Asian or the Middle Eastern continent, they all like white men for some reason. They all want like dorky white guys. I don't know. There's something about like the race play as politics. Well, he didn't invent that take, but like he refined
He's
that
one of the
take.
larger proponents of race play politics. Yeah.
No, but he's correct because like all of the like if you live in Canada, right, and you've been like to university and you see like all of these migrant women that are like just like spouting the most like libest of lib takes, they all have like dorky white boyfriends. It's so crazy. But
Well,
there's I don't know, there's
it
something about
sounds
it.
like
There's
it also sounds like how it is with American progressives. You know, Claudine
yeah.
Gay has a Greek boyfriend or some white passing kind of guy for a
Yeah.
husband. AOC's got that like dorky ginger soy boy husband.
Oh god.
Well,
Look at this by MD.
Ilhan Omar isn't. Well, I think she married her brother, you know, to get U.S. citizenship
It
or
was some
whatever.
tax
But like,
exemption thing.
you know,
They were genetically related, though. I think it was like a stepbrother or something. It was something. It was
it
less
doesn't.
creepy than.
Okay, well, and just
Doesn't
like
make
that,
it better, but
and
like.
just like that Hasidic guy climbing out of a sewer grate, the optics don't look good. It doesn't matter that he's your stepbrother. I need an optics check on aisle 12 here. You know, Ilhan Omar
Yeah,
married her
the
brother. Oh,
optics
but
are
it's her
incredible.
stepbrother. That doesn't make it any better from someone from Puntland, Somalia.
True, true. No, but that's what I mean. Like it's like in the UK they have this problem with. Well, you know, not gonna. We all know like the Wignat. They've been talking about this since 2015, but it is true though. They do have a problem with. This is why like
Yeah, we
the
talk about IQ, but we never address the incest question when it comes to these
No, but
people.
like this is why like people when they think of incest, they think of like Alabama. That's like demographically, that's like not true when you look at the world, right? But and you can't say these hate facts. Look at this by Matt&Gio hoping and praying for a brown skin queen. I mean I no, I'm not gonna make an Irish joke, okay? I'm not gonna make a stupid Irish
Easy there,
joke.
E. Michael Jones. Easy there.
Yeah. The Michael Jones Irish take. But
You're not white. You're Irish.
You're not white. You're Irish. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say it to my GF next time. You're not white. You're Irish. But AOC at least has a tall man. That's they all want tall guy. Yeah, it's true. But it's like the dorky, lanklet white guy. They all love that for some reason. Um, Alabama's just a massive psyop. No, exactly. Deliverance was a psyop. Like it's really like the whole marrying cousins
Deliverance,
thing.
Pleasantville, American Beauty. They're all these just like violently anti-white like middle class
Anti-Southerner.
culture.
Yeah.
You know, well, American Beauty isn't really Southern, but it is anti like middle class white
Yeah.
family type deal. But
But
yeah,
do you want to know the
no,
secret though?
because even the ex Marine who's got all like the Nazi memorabilia, he's also he's like a Southern. He's got a different kind of accent than everyone else in the family or in the story, and he's a closeted homosexual. And it's just like, yep, you couldn't make a more like
Speaking of
direct
death in
movie that says
June.
I hate you.
Yeah. No, but it's funny though how that was like a subversive. See, we're doing media literacy hour right now.
No, because no one reads either. Like
Yeah,
we're
that's why
this
so Devin Stack
all,
is so
all
popular.
debates about literacy. This goes back to no one is
People
literate.
love movies.
People love movies, but I mean everyone's illiterate. And and Walker and William Faulkner was right. You know, movies are for a different group of people, but I won't. You can
Yeah.
go look that quote up yourselves. But because I
No,
just
but yeah.
ugh.
No, I had
No
this
one
take about
reads,
media
Gio. No one
literacy.
reads.
No, I know no one reads, but that's the point. Like people like the whole obsession, and this came and I mentioned this in my one chapter in Humans of Flat Design. I read this excerpt of my Substack. And it's only a draft. I have to address certain things. But about the Keith Haring thing, or like any event when it comes to art where people talk about media literacy, it used to be like the death of the author was the norm. It was like sort of like, 90s postmodernism, right? It was Frederick Jameson. but now like the whole like postmodern death of the author thing that Roland Barthes came up with, that's gone now. Because leftoids, they love media literacy. Because now when all media conforms to what they believe in, of course they're going to be like, this is what it really means. Actually, don't you really know? Like, did you have to like root for the bad? Like, you can't root for the bad guy. Don't you know Travis Bickle's the bad guy? Like, it's that soy jack voice, right? But about American Beauty, that was like a very standard, like edgy, like university zine line when it came to like the character of his name. He's always in war movies. He's always like in like GOWAD movies, global war
I
and terror
don't know
movies.
his name off the
What's his
top of my
name?
head, to be honest.
Yeah, but like he's a good actor, right? But like okay, the fact that he's an American patriot, supposedly, he's a veteran. I believe he would have been like what, Gulf War, right?
I think it was Vietnam in this movie.
Vietnam. So he's Vietnam veteran. He's a flag saluting veteran, but he's also like he's enamored by Austrian painter Chris Cooper. Thank you, Chris Cooper. But thank you, Cutter. But he's enamored by Austrian painter memorabilia, and he's a closeted gay guy. Like that was like such a standard, like Susan Sontag, Herbert Marcuse, Adorno critique of like, well, actually, don't you know that that they're all really secretly gay or whatever, but also that the American GI is like also kind of like a fascist. Like that was used to be like a radical university thing, but it was like people like they were like these hipsters in university that all became professionals anyways, white collar people. They used to like dabble in this, used to like listen to Rage Against the Machines, and like it was like not taken as a serious. It was serious, but it wasn't like taken seriously. But by the time millennials came along, that became like such a mainstream thing because of American Beauty, because of millennials watching American Beauty on movie channels like, you know, Peachtree TV or whatever. And it's like then it became like that was the talking point. That like, you know, American fascism is like what's that stupid quote? Was it by Chris Hedges or by Michael Moore? It's like American fascism will be wrapped up in the flag, or I think it was FDR. I forget. You know that quote?
FDR said it'd be wrapped up in the flag, or not FDR. I thought it
Yeah,
was Churchill.
or it was
Hold
Churchill.
on, fascism in America wrapped in
Will
the
be wrapped
flag.
in the flag and
I don't
have
know.
a
I'll look
Bible
it
or
up.
something.
Oh, Sinclair Lewis.
Oh, of course.
Another well-known questionable
Communist.
communist of homosexual, you know,
Yeah.
proclivities. Who would have guessed?
Who would have guessed Sinclair Lewis came up with that one? It's like
Yeah.
how Mao. Did you know that Mao was the original irony leftist that hated Italians? Did you see that?
Yes, I did see the tweets. But he was also a hardcore third worldist that was happy to see Europe and America die. So I mean, again,
You can
all
tell it's
these
just like
guys
creeps with
killed
like Bugman resentment.
way more than any sort of authoritarian in Europe. But you know, who do we focus on?
Yeah, it's funny how they accuse all the fascist regimes of wanting an apocalyptic war that will wipe out most of humanity. Millions must die. Meanwhile, Mao was like literally the millions must die ticket. Like that was, you know, it's fun. No, because it's funny because like they hate Italians so much because I think like should I just save that take for content minded? Because like I had this rant about how there's sort of like an envy about like
Well, see, the great thing
Roman.
about this show, Gio, is that you have someone to bounce your ideas off of, so you can give this take and then flesh it out later in a show.
Right. Oh, but okay. So I'll pose it as a question to you, Prude. Why do the like the safe racism against Italians? Why do they hate Italians so much? Is it because like New York City podcasters? It's like the only like semi-white minority that they know, or is it because
It's an
okay for the
acceptable white minority with a
yeah,
criminal, like, stereotypical past.
but also the greatness of Italian civilization is something that the quote unquote trads fetishize. I think that's probably another thing
I'm sure
too.
there's a little bit of that, but I mean, like, the Sopranos doesn't help either.
Yeah, true.
Like,
True.
every
But
mobster film from The Godfather to The Sopranos, and then, you know, you have a questionable minority that was quote unquote white, but it is still very ethnically identifiable. We still eat
yeah,
Italian food. There's still the Roman Catholic Church. Even the word Roman itself is innately Italian in that instance where it's located. Like, it's the safe minority to hate, I think, more than the Irish because you know, you could buy into the Noah Ignatieff argument, like the Irish became white, but like even the Italians are still noticeably different. And also, like, let's face it, between Irish and Italians, one is far more swarthier than the other. So, I mean, there's the acceptable quote unquote white European minority to
Well,
hate.
Irish are just plain white people.
Well, yeah, they are, but I mean,
Yeah.
whereas the I mean, it's like, yeah, one that culture that's a little more quote unquote Nordic is a little more different than one that's more Mediterranean. So I mean, I guess there's still that old world, like older class of American racism where, you don't like all these Ellis Islanders, the gay intrepid Occidentalist. Ooh, I love it.
Whoa!
That's great.
I've
But
never
he's not.
written for the Occident. Is the Occidentalist still published, or they've been like blacklisted by the ADL?
Isn't the Occidental Review still a thing with Kevin McDonald?
That's what I was saying. The Occidental Review.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they're still around. I just don't think
this is like OG Wignac culture. They had a lot
I
of good, like they had some good articles. I gotta not. I should admit that in public, but like I, I don't know. Yeah, the Occidental Observer. I think they're still going. But
they're
anyways,
still
you were
around.
saying
Yeah, but
Prue,
that's one of those places where it's just like if you publish there, it's like being on like
it's
the Unst
over.
Review or whatever. Like, good luck. Um,
You'll
I'm not
probably be
sure.
on
Like,
some list somewhere.
yeah, you're on a list somewhere. I guarantee it.
That was like, you know what was crazy? That guy that like followed me around. He had this like crazy tweet where he went against this black guy and he's like mentioned me like at random. So you tell like there's something wrong with him. But like he thought that I had something to do with Radek's journal, and it's only because I was on Tyler's show. But people don't realize like it's well known that Tyler had a falling out with Richard Spencer, and like I've always hated Richard Spencer. So I would like never in a million years publish with Radek's journal. Are you kidding me? Like, first of all, they won't have me. Like Richard Spencer would probably hate me if he knew I existed. He probably doesn't know I exist because for reasons I can't say because it would mess somebody up that I know. Richard Spencer probably does know I exist, but he probably doesn't like me, and I certainly don't like Richard Spencer. So like, it's crazy. Like it's that
you didn't even put it up long enough for one to read it.
Radix is at the HIV medication.
No, that's
Okay, out of all the things,
that's good.
I don't think he's gay. He does have 2 children, but like, I mean, okay, I think he has gay man, but I think Richard is just metro. He's not like really
He's a
gay.
he's a nice metrosexual man. That's really all I can
Yeah,
say.
yeah. But the point being is this: like, I've never published with Radix. Like, I've streamed with Tyler, but like that was after he had a falling out with Radix. Like, you realize that like nothing to do with Richard Spencer. And he would probably hate me, man. You know what? It's funny. He would hate me because we're both like art F slurs, but like for other takes, he probably hates me. Anyways, go
Mm.
ahead, Prude. I totally ruined your point. Anyways,
I
they
totally
hate
lost my train of thought
they
here.
hate
You were
Italians.
good.
Okay, for those who don't know, the original point was that Mao he went to Moscow for the 40th anniversary of the revolution, and he talked about like literally millions upon millions of people dying in a nuclear war to ensure global communism. And so an Italian Marxist, the head of the Communist Party in, of course, it was Milan was this epicenter of Italian Marxism during the Red Brigades, if people recall. This was during Operation Gladio. The head of the Communist Party from Milan said to Mao, he goes, well, what about how many Italians should die? He goes, all of them. Do you think Italians are so important? And all of these like little MB kid Marxists in the replying to Measured Head, who capped the original the text from Mao, they're all like, yeah, based. He's right about the Italians, man. And so it's the meme about irony leftists, how they like uniquely hate Italians for some reason, even though they're all obsessed with the Sopranos. So it's like, why do they hate Italians so much? It's like I can never figure this. Is it safe? Because it goes beyond the safe edgy thing. It goes beyond just like the safe edgy. I hate the French. I hate the Anglos. I hate the Italians. They have this like unique hatred for Italians for some reason. I don't know. Is Posadism still a thing? Yeah, like I think it was referring to the guy that was a Posadist that Mao was chiding. But anyways, go ahead, Prude. You had a point about yeah.
I don't. So
Why do they hate Italians so much?
I gave my point earlier. Like I had
Okay.
mentioned that it was like the acceptable like minority to hate, in part because
Yeah.
they weren't
Yeah.
really Nordic, they weren't Northern Western European, Mediterranean. America has a very deep seated, still to this day. I mean, it's changed with Biden and of course with JFK, but I mean, there's still that sort of anti-papal sentiment here in the United
Yeah.
States, and it does not help with other certain factions out in the right. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, that's all there, and
Oh, I wanted to
that sort of
backtrack to the
Anglo versus Med type deal has always led to sort of a quote unquote safe Ellis Islander
yeah.
hate. Although I think they're hating the wrong group of Ellis Islanders, but that's a whole other story.
No, but I want to go back to the incest thing. The reality is that like a lot of very isolated, especially like hilly, like on the hill type of communities, it's very rampant in like the third world, even like in certain parts of Italy, where you had these isolated hilltop type of town villages where like maybe it wasn't like brother sister, but it was like, oh, he's my second cousin, blah blah blah.
Well, I
Like
mean, cousin
it's just
marriage was way different than
yeah,
you know.
yeah. I believe in Italy, but the thing is though, in Italy, the incest thing was curbed because the Catholic Church banned first cousin marriages. I believe you can only go to like third cousin. I believe that's what the Catholic Church said was acceptable. And by
Well,
the
isn't
time you
that
get to
the
third
quote
cousin,
unquote optimal like
yeah,
genetic match or whatever? I don't know enough
yeah.
about all this stuff to give informed takes. So
Geo, state your IQ. I can't really state my IQ because I'm like a math dyslexic. So I really, if I were to take an IQ test, it would probably be skewed because I could never do any of the math part. So like I just have this general dyslexia when it comes to math and numbers. I can't maybe I am a midwit. Maybe I am a midwit. Who knows? But I can't really take a standard IQ test. So maybe I am. Maybe I am. Um, but anyway, yeah, fourth or fifth cousin was the closest. Exactly. Not even third cousin. They didn't even allow third cousin marriages. So, and by the time you get to fifth and fourth cousin, it's not
yeah, this is all
that big of
way
a deal.
beyond my ken of things to understand.
Yeah. Oh, allowed by dispensation, so theoretically rare. Yeah, yeah, yeah. By the time you get to like around the 16th to 17th century, it was like exceptionally rare for Italians to marry their first cousin. It was not allowed. So
Oh, there you
that's
go.
why it's people talk about like maybe we should cover that Jacobin article about Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate. But they talked about like how like crude evolutionary psychology. And I counter signal this sort of obsession with evolutionary psychology, right? But there is certain things about like certain legislative events in a society do have this like social technology importance. So the ban on incest was always one of them that boosts the IQ or boost the genetic health of a civilization when you do have a taboo against incest. That's just a fact, right? So you
Hmm.
know what I mean? Um, but yeah, like the whole like the Alabama, the South is like particularly like they marry their cousins. That was a psyop against Southern people. Like that was a psyop against
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I
It's
don't
a
have
very
much.
harmful cultural stereotype for
Well, on
yeah.
it really
Because I
is.
see Yiz in the
Really,
chat. Yiz can watch our stream because we're streaming earlier. So,
so true, so true.
yeah,
But I
so
mean, no,
true.
I mean that is just the fundamental fact, and it is that it is a hateful, nasty stereotype that media has been perpetuating against the South forever. Because really, in this country, Reconstruction never ended, and we're just dealing with the consequences of that, and it's a pain in the ass.
Can I rotate a dinar skew in my mind? Yes, I can. In fact, I can rotate the cut marks and the crispy parts on the different sides as well.
Mm,
So I,
tasty.
I probably am, I'm a shape rotator. You know what I mean?
He is the he's a shape. Well, you're an artist. I would imagine that you have to have some sort of shape rotation going on.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So yeah.
But you know what I can never figure out? I can never be a sculptor like Fen is because like I can imagine the illusion to three-dimensional space on a flat surface like any painter can, but I can't wrap my head around the way that but I guess it's like a skill you have to perfect over years and years, where you can like imagine a figure in three-dimensional space. So I'm more equipped to be like a painter and a printmaker than I am to be a sculptor. Like sculpting to me is a foreign language, right? But you have to remember, according to Spangler, and listen, I'm very sorry, Fen, if you're listening to this, I'm very sorry. But according to Spangler, to Faustian European man, sculpting became less important as opposed to painting and literature for different reasons. So, anyways, I'm very sorry, Fen, but I can't argue with Spangler. I'm sorry. I mean, you can. There's not everything Spangler got right, but it's like that's one thing.
No man is infallible.
Yeah. But there is a reason why sculpture became less important. Now, there is sculptors who carried the art all the way to the 19th and 20th century. Like Rodin is one of them. But in terms of its importance, painting, printmaking, and then literature, especially music and literature, became important for the Germanics, whereas us, painting became way more important in Italy and in the Mediterranean as a whole. And I would even include France, because the French revolutionized painting as well. And the French do have that Mediterranean bent to them. The French are very complicated because they're like half Germanic, half French, half Lang. They really are like a mixed bag, right? There is a Germanic strain in the French as well. So that's a long rant. Do you want to talk about the tunnels now?
Can we get to the article now?
Oh, do you want to save the tunnels for later?
Well, let's get the tunnels over with. What?
Listen, guys, it's less interesting. I'm not counter signaling the way that Gavin McGinnis and Tim Pool did, but it really is just a dispute among. You go ahead. Go ahead. You good? Yeah.
Jesus H, Gio. We're never going to know what actually happened, and it's going to get swept under the rug incredibly quickly. If you already have a predetermined position on this
View
group
of those
of people, you are already probably going to have whatever confirmation bias you have. If you're playing damage control, you're going to probably buy into that, awful Gavin McGinnis, because he took a shot against Anons earlier and this week, and he was just being a total tool. I mean, when is he not, right? Like, but yeah.
What was his take that it wasn't really what people would imagine? What was his original take? I forget. Besides the Anon one,
basically that. Well, I think it was just the basic. I think it was the same thing that Tim Pool had said, more or less, about that these were built during the lockdowns, and that's a pretty cool thing. Also, to get around building codes or whatever. It is interesting, of course, that this is the most sort of extremist, sort of supremacist sect of modern rabbinical Talmudic Judaism that, of course, was the subject of this. The cop was, we don't do that in America. I mean, it was a pretty fun line. It was a fun little media flash in the pan thing. I just don't know how much of this will be kept going in the same way that, like, Trump's mugshot was a flash in the pan moment. And he tweeted for once in the first time since he got banned off Twitter. And then that was it, So I just don't. I have to laugh at who was it, like the Catholic Space Emperor guy with the whole Ben Shapiro picture, and he was like, "These are Judeo-Christian tunnels," and I imagine that they'll probably do some like Roman catacombs thing as like PR damage control to shift blame back to like the Christians or whatever. But oh man, like you just know that someone at the ADL was throwing their phone against a wall as soon as they saw that video of that guy climbing out of the sewer.
Jonathan Greenblatt was like, "We have to get on top of this."
He was like, "Son of a bitch!" Just like really angry that like the most vile caricature you could imagine for like an Orthodox Jew just happened naturally. It wasn't forced or staged. It just took place. I don't. This to me isn't the big issue.
No.
I mean, I'm sure it is in ways that I don't know enough about, but
I know a little bit about this.
I think that I still want to focus on all these grants that are being given from the federal government to various quote unquote charities, both Jewish and Christian, that are facilitating the Great Replacement. I think that that's a more important thing to focus on because it's a little more tangible than perhaps the esoteric stuff. But I've never really been a big esoteric guy, to be perfectly honest. So I can only focus on what I think is more tangible political reality. And the political reality is that there is a business model for migrants, and that facilitates corruption, greed, and a demand for infinity migrants. So the grant money keeps flowing and the dollars
Yeah.
keep flowing. And I want to shut that spigot off, not just the migrant flow, but also the money flow. And those people should be RICO'd and tried for treason. But
Yeah, even Christian charities, which is like why, like in Canada, the government does it. There are Christian and other faith charities that help, but like see, Canada's way ahead of America because the government just brings them in, so and it gives them grants and programs, and yeah, so no, but yep, the CD Goon Caves. So the esoteric take is that like okay, it's funny because Gavin, I'm trying to find the take, but he's like talking about Proud Boys and Grapers, and it's like he's like, why does the government of Canada list Proud Boys as a terrorist organization, but not the Islamic Revolutionary Guard? It's like Gavin, you know why? Like, don't be stupid. It's like he feels bad for he like wants to denounce the Proud Boys, but it's like you created them, so they're always like all these Antifa people. They're always gonna like view you as like an Austrian painter. Like it doesn't matter how
Like,
hard
it doesn't matter
Gavin's
if you're an
is.
alt-light, anonymous hating,
Yeah.
type of guy who went to bat for. I mean, because even Gavin McInnes had interviewed Nick and Kanye West when
Yeah,
he was doing
yeah,
that, and
yeah.
he was like, "Well, you don't just like hate the entire group, do you? Like, you do it on an individual basis, right?" And they were like, "No." So I mean, even Gavin was playing sort of like the
The fall
appropriate
guy.
alt-light fall guy, middle of the road, sensible dude.
Well, that's what that bread tuber did when he did that. I forget which bread tuber did that video where it's like critiquing that interview and like even a bread like even like an 110 IQ bread tuber MB kid can like see that Gavin was just playing a foil. You know what I mean? Like it was
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
serious. It wasn't a serious debate, right? But no, but he says my problem with Grippers is that they don't talk to girls. My problem with the Proud Boys is that they're the third marriage and haven't seen their teen daughters in 3 months. So it's like, okay, you're
Damn.
pissing off your fans, but you're also pissing off Grapers who give you airtime. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I
That
think
was
Gavin he wants to be a Gen X hipster forever. Like the guy helped
Oh
invent
man,
Vice
so
magazine.
Arrested Development, where we never want to like escape our grift, our comfort zone, grow and develop. It sounds a lot like the entire, young adult movie industry or like
Yeah.
book and film industry. Like nothing stuck culture, to quote Blondie Man over there. Like
People
it is
accuse Jim Goat of the same, but at least Jim Goat's a good writer. You know what I mean? So it's yeah.
stuck culture.
Yeah. I
It's
want to be
frustrating.
edgy, but I don't want to be edgy. I want to be this. I want to be graper friendly, but I think they're all virgin losers. So it's like pick Gavin,
Yeah, pick
listen
one.
to me. Pick one. Either you think grapers are virgin losers or you're a fan of them. You can't have both. Because let me tell you, the grapers are not gonna let you have both. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, plus, like, let's face it, man. As much as I think, as much as there's certain aspects of Gen X culture that I do enjoy, the whole thing about like you're just virgin losers, like that's get over it, man. Like, come on. Like, this is not a good critique. You know what I mean? I'm not a fan of like certain things Grapers do. I'm not a fan of certain things that fandom does. But at the same time, like saying that they're virgins, like, come on, man. Like, get over it. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain people that are in Nick camp that I quite enjoy that I'm friends with. But like, come on, man. Like, just you know what I mean, Prude? When I see that take about like you're just virgins, my brain, even okay, yeah, okay, I'm a fake cell, whatever. But that's still like something about it just makes me. It's like an ick thing. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's just it's a wrong critique on so many different levels that I would have to spend the next hour or two going over why that's a stupid take. You know what I mean? But we're gonna talk. We should be sorry, Prude. Sorry, Prude. I derailed your point, but
Uh
the tunnels.
oh well, I mean, to go to what you had just said, right? Like the big sex is always. I mean, because the sex wars have been kicking off for over a decade now. I mean, the whole
Yeah,
gender stuff's been going on for really since the 1950s and 60s. But like, I mean, nowadays, when your political opinions determine or play a determining factor in if you decide to get laid or to get married or to pair bond for life and have children, I mean, we've noticed this already where they're talking like Gen Z and Gen Alpha, where like, boys swing pretty far to the right, women swing pretty far to the left. Like, if you hate the person that you're supposed to be with, at least on a pure heterosexual level for pair bonding, like, good luck, right? Dating or whatever. Like, oh, like being a Republican is an unsexy thing or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but I don't want to be dating some like bright, blue-eyed, blue-dyed hair, like freak either. Like, I get it. Some
Oh,
people
the
want to
Matty
stick.
Iglesias
Well,
take.
yeah, well, that too. But I mean, but this all plays a role in the whole like the virgin claim, right? Because
Yeah.
we do have a culture that has put sex back on the pedestal. Like, there is no escaping that, right? Like, sex is back on the
Yeah.
pedestal in a way where, and this isn't me trying to be like a trad. Like, oh, guys, you know my past. Like, come on, to call me trad would be to be the hypocrisy of hypocrisies. But like, no one, sex is at full front and center of everything. At the touch of a button, we can simulate sex in a way that our grandparents could have only dreamed of by finding like a Playboy mag out in the woods or whatever. Like, it's not, it's everywhere present. And so
Yeah.
it's totally centered in culture. We talk about these things that are really civilizational, and it's that like Gen X sort of like, I guess, irony bro type deal. And maybe it's not even a Gen X thing. It's just like sort of that like irony leftist type deal that I can't stand that you see sometimes in the alt-light areas. But
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, I see that it's like that Matt Boers comic, like, um he's like, oh, we should improve society somewhat. He's like, yes, but you're also in a society. I'm very intelligent. It's just like, hey, our civilization is dying, and it's like, yes, and I see that you are a sexless virgin. I am very intelligent. And it's like, no, you're not. You're just highlighting a symptom, you retard. Like,
It was the only good Matt Boers comic. Yeah.
it's the only good Matt Boers comic because it's been like hijacked and reappropriated towards the right wing. Like, because Matt Boers is a total shit lib, and I don't think he's ever made
He's
anything good.
insane. Well, he's not as insane as Eli Valley, but he's up
No,
there.
but Trump
Yeah.
broke him.
Yeah.
Trump broke him
Yeah.
so bad, and it's not even funny. Uh, but like, anyways, that's another thing
You
about
know
Death
where
of the
that take
Author.
comes from?
Everyone takes Death of the Author. I think it's hijack of the author now. Like,
Yeah.
because meme
Yeah.
culture has just totally like reappropriated anything that an author puts out. Like, when the guy who created Feels Good Man, Pepe the Frog, does a comic to kill it, but everyone still uses Pepe and Apustayas and stuff like that. Like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, your opinion does not matter. That frog is still being used. And like,
Remember the
that's
comic?
an incredibly insane thing to think about, that like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm the like, imagine if like Archie, like the creator of Archie comics, was still alive today and he became like a raging libtard. And like, all of a sudden, like, Archie comics, like, Archie Bunk, is now the the whole land of Riverdale is just like MAGA land and everyone's a chud. And like, the original author is like, well, I'm just gonna kill Archie in my latest, Archie's Digest, and we're gonna have like, Chuck
It's what
over here.
Robert Crumb did with Fritz the Cat
Well, I know,
because of
and I know.
Tito Brass.
And I'm just gonna kill Archie, but then like, he kills Archie, like the libtard media covers it, but then like every right winger never got the memo, and like Archie is still like arch chud with his harem of babes, like owning the libs. Like, that's what it's like.
Yeah.
So it's really, I find that actually a really fascinating thing, that like the author's opinion
Are you a
no
Betty guy
longer
or Veronica
matters.
guy?
Well, but this is the thing though. It's like the same thing with like Ken and Barbie with the whole movie there. Like, for a flash in the pan moment, yeah, Ken was like a right wing male protagonist that everyone liked. I mean, he was the best part of that movie. Let's not kid ourselves. But
Yeah.
we see this all the time. Like, oh, we turned what's his name, Quaritch or whatever, from the original Avatar movie, the big colonel who's meant to be this like critique of like the American imperial project, and everyone's like, nope, this dude is cool. Like, I want
That
to kill
Land Shark
Xenos.
tweet about like the green yeah, yeah.
I want to kill Xenos, like, so you can tell me that like, oh, it's Pocahontas in space, or it's like, or Dances with Wolves in space, like the natives, and it's like, I don't care. I want to kill aliens. Like, turns out like white Anglo-Saxon imperialism is really based, and I'm gonna like identify with it. And they're like, no, he's like the bad guy. He's the shut. I'm like, sorry, he's
Me literacy.
quit making him cool. Like it's like this is
Yeah.
the thing about, to go back to media literacy, right? Like he's the bad guy, aren't you? Media. I was like, no, I'm aware of the fact that he is meant to be the bad guy in your really cringe progressive hero's journey narrative that you guys don't know how to follow anymore. Like for since that came out in what 48, right? Like the monomyth, like the hero's journey by Joseph Campbell has been the de facto methodology and technique for American filmmakers to make easy to make, easy, ready, easy bake oven style stories from Star
Yeah.
Wars to Iron Man. And then all of a sudden we stopped using it because we made a Xerox of a Xerox of a Xerox of the original hero's journey, to where now it's just like,
This is
but we want to
Bojansky.
make women empowered. And I'm like, well, you need to give me a reason for she's empowered. But that section where like the hero falls and has to get back up and gets the lesson from the wise old wizard, you guys have Xeroxed that to oblivion, and now it's totally skipped to where you can have the Mary Sue of the world. And still, that technique is around. People nowadays, not to reiterate the competency crisis, but people these days don't know how to do it. And so, in movies that get made where they're like, "Oh, damn, this is like actually good," um, it's like, wow, how did this get made in current
Yeah.
year type questions. Like I've been told Iron Claw is a movie that I really need to watch. Like it's actually like it's about like a white protagonist and or a white family, and it's actually like a good film. And they're like, how did that get made in 2023? And I was like, I don't know, but I have
Mm.
to watch it now. And it's the thing is that I do think that more people on the right have still a greater sense of media literacy than the left does. I mean, because like a lot of what's leftist discourse these days over film, it's somewhat fashy, or
You need a
that,
trans character.
or you need a trans character, or we need to update the Bechdel test, and it's just like I don't
It's
think
funny,
any.
nobody takes the Bechdel test
Well, I
seriously.
know, but it used didn't this,
Yeah.
but 10 years ago it used to be all the fucking rage. Like NPR would have an
Yeah, the
article about it
2010s
every
feminism, yeah.
20. Oh God, I'm so. On one hand, I'm glad it's dead, but on the other hand, I wish it was back, just because that was an easier feminism to deal with than whatever like weird tranny stuff they have to put up with nowadays.
Well, that's
But
what I
then
mean, they
again,
don't need the
then again,
Bechdel test because it
they
doesn't
get what
have to
they
be a real
deserve.
woman.
Then again, they get what they deserve.
Yeah.
We all get the governments we deserve. Um,
They don't need a
so
Bechdel test because it doesn't have to be a real woman actually speaking,
we need a Bechdel test where it's like, are there any cis women in this movie anymore? Like
That'll be the turf
that
Bechdel
day is
test.
coming. That day is coming.
It'll be the turf
The
Bechdel
turf
test.
test, like
The turf test.
are there any like cisgender women like
Biological women
are there any biological
speaking.
women in this movie that aren't, and all these terms that we just used are all fucking leftist language anyway. Like I
We'll
just
call it the slats test.
no, actually I'm pro Brian Johnson now just because of his attack on slats. That was so delicious.
Yeah, but you know what? But then again, like there was this guy that
Don't white knight for me now. Don't. No.
no, but like
No.
about what actually happened with Brian Johnson's marriage, it is kind of I don't know. The guy's kind of creepy. I don't know.
Oh, he's creepy as hell, and he'll die a very Faustian death, literally speaking. He'll something will go wrong with his like weird medical
Like Dorian
contraptions.
Gray.
Yeah,
Dorian
and
Gray.
but I don't know, the quote tweet
Not
where
just
he's just like,
okay. It was a good own, but like
that's
there's
what I'm here for. That's all that I'm here for.
I know I'm white knighting too hard, man. I'm
Just a
doing the
tad
male
bit.
feminist thing too hard.
Just a tad.
No, but I mean like it's funny because that comic, remember where the creator of Peppy, he's like, I killed you, and Peppy's like walking with the suit, the Graper suit. He's like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? I don't who
What do
are
you mean you killed me? I'm still here.
No, I think he said like, who are you? And like that's a perfect thing about like the death of the author because the creation far supersedes that guy. You know what's funny? They made a documentary about the evil alt-right creating like taking Peppy, and I think they interviewed Eggy in it. They interviewed Eggy. But anyways,
It is funny just to think about,
yeah.
like, oh, this is what we got, and
You know what's funny to get the tunnels thing out of the way. If you want to talk about like foreign radicalization, like all these like there is like something like not to be like all third worldist or whatever, but there is something to be said about like how these like young teenagers they either come from Israel, they do their bit there, then they come back, right? And like the whole dispute was over Schneerson being the Messiah. Did you know about this?
yes, and
Yeah, it's about like
and I believe some
Tanaka
people still go to
Schneerson.
his like grave and pray for his like resurrection or whatever.
Well, because they were protesting this plaque where they said, like, in loving memory, because that's an acknowledgement that he's dead, that he's not actually the Messiah that's going to like come back. And so like the radicalized like hilltop youth types
You
that
know,
dug the tunnel.
there are other there is an empty tomb that you can, go to, but
Well, yeah, of course, but like
that's
no, but
that's so funny. Sorry, go on.
no, yeah, like Yiz's right. It's an offshoot of the Chabad because it's like one of the most holiest Chabads in the world, right? So they dug into the Chabad to do their like radical, like alt synagogue thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's like that is the real radicalism. Because if you look at like what these youths are doing in the Middle East, like they're like going after these farmers and they're like kicking these Palestinians off their land, and it's like all this like crazy stuff that they accuse Muslims and like the right wing of doing in America. But it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's, and I think like if the left, if they're so adamant about helping the Palestinians, they could like really point to this stuff. You know what I mean? Like they could say that there is like a radicalization process there that you know what I mean? Like it's very similar in a way to like the sort of Gowad thing against Muslims or against like, white nationalists or whatever. It's like a very
Oh, when
the
he says
model
"go
of
wad," he means
radicalization.
like global war on terror. In case anyone in the comments ends up
Yeah, yeah,
asking.
global war on terror. Yeah. And it's funny because like when you look at the Muslims in Europe, for example, they are being radicalized, but at the same time, they're also like buying into like American like rap hip hop culture. And it's like that's the real neoliberalism right there. It's like a Muslim like in Europe doing like drill rap. That's like the real like neoliberal radicalization. Is like you get all the detriments of like hating Westerners, but you also get all the detriments of like stupid North American culture. It's like really crazy. And so in a way, like Mark Stein and all those like counter jihad people, they were like only partially correct. You know what I mean? They were only like partially correct. It's it's like this is the word. It's it's crazy, man. But yeah. So I think like okay, there is a lot of
It's been a
things.
wild news
Yeah,
cycle. Like we're 11 days into
yeah,
2024.
yeah,
You know, you've got a
yeah.
Iowa's just days away. You've got these
Mhm.
crappy debates. We've got the ongoing Trump cases. We've got really three regional conflicts that have broken out. You know, you've got and also Ecuador's in civil war.
Yeah.
And then
But it's
the
funny though.
tunnels thing. Like it's just been
Yeah,
a wild. We're 11 days in.
we're 11 days
11
exactly.
days in.
But my final point about the tunnels is that it's okay. There is genuine. There's a huge problem with abuse in these communities
Oh
of
yeah.
young boys, right? But
It
I
would
don't
make
think like
public school look like, a safe
yeah.
chastity place, whereas like these communities have the worst rates of like child abuse ever.
But I think when it comes to these particular tunnels, there could be something going on. But at the same time, I think it's the explanation is probably less sexy than a McMartin tunnel finders thing. Not to counter signal, but like the tunnels are specifically built because it's an intra-group Hasidim conflict over Tanakh Shmierson being the Messiah. But when it comes to the other things, it's like okay, there's you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of sussy baka things going on, but I think like the less sexy explanation is that it's a bunch of like radicalized young kids in this Chabad that you know what I mean. Like there's a less sexy explanation than the whole like McMartin tunnel thing. You know what I mean? Um, but when it comes to like genuine abuse, especially of young boys, that is something that even a lot of rabbis have like blown the whistle on. And
Yeah.
so I think like the whole neurotic media obsession over the Catholic scandal and like listen, not to like deflect from the evil that has been done in the Catholic Church as a Catholic myself, but you got to wonder like why is it that government schools or these other like religious or non-religious communities um no, Vingal. What I mean by sexy, I mean like media narrative. I don't mean like you know what I mean. You know what I mean by using the term like I mean provocative and appealing and meme worthy. That's what I mean by the use of the term sexy. I mean like the media term. You know what I mean? But yeah, like there is a reason why they particularly targeted the Catholic Church for the abuse scandals in the media, why it's become such a powerful media image, as opposed to either government or other religious communities that do this type of abuse.
Yeah.
Like, why is it that the Catholic Church in particular is like hyper focused on? You got to wonder, right? Because we know what happens in government institutions. We know what happens in like other, like, Muslim, Jewish, whatever. You know what I mean? So why is it that the Catholics in particular have such a media focus? You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Metaphysics. Yeah, Jade had a good post about that. And why is it that in the 80s the abuse scandal just like dropped off and we're relitigating, like, a lot of these people that are charging the Catholic Church with abuse, they're like in their 60s, some of them. You know what I mean? Not to say like what happened to them. I'm not downplaying what happened to them. There was a lot of genuine, and there still is a lot of genuine evil priests that have done these things, right? But anyways, we all know why. We all know what, not to relitigate it, but there is a lot of strangeness when it comes to the media uproar as to why they focused on the Catholic Church as opposed to institutions that are harming children at greater rates than just Catholic priests. You know what I mean? And a lot of it has to do with, like, it's an international institution, it's an ancient institution, and of course, like, Catholics in America, in North America, have this particular cultural salience as opposed to other groups. Not to say too much for YouTube, but, well, you know what I mean. Anyways, yeah.
And again, we're both familiar that there's a particular reason why that group's religious and sexual scandals are never going to be addressed in the same way that, like, there's never going to be a Spotlight-esque movie on what happens in some of these schools and institutions. I mean, it's just blatantly obvious and a reflection of what kind of power they wield over the media in respects to, it's not like there's a secret cabal of Catholics that are telling Hollywood to make movies about some terrible thing going on in, like, Brooklyn. Like, the day that happens is the day that, like, I guess the right wing won. Like, and I guess until
well,
that
there
happens,
has been movies about government abuse of children, but that's always framed within, like, individual actors.
but it's also framed in a way of like oh, these are like state sanctioned evil blah blah type deal, like with Australia or something like that. I'm surprised.
It's always
Like,
framed as
in a few years, we're going to get a movie about, like, the hoax of the Catholic boarding school stuff with quote unquote First Nation people.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, it's always framed as, like, individual actors that are exploiting the government system. It's never framed in the same way as the Catholic Church, where it's like the whole institution is guilty, like the whole government of these countries are, like, responsible for abusing children. It's never framed in that way. It's always like, oh, someone that was, like, particularly abusive, worked the system to have access to children. It's never framed as, like, the government failed children. It's always this individual person. Whereas, like, when it comes to movies about the Catholic Church, or, like, made for TV, or, like, TV shows like SVU or whatever, it's always framed as, like, the Catholic Church in general is responsible. Like, every single individual Catholic is, like, has to, like, be imparted the sin of abusing children. You know what I mean? Like, that's the difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But anyways, 2024 is starting off to a pretty wild start.
It's only gonna get worse, I think.
Yeah. And before we get to the article, I wanted to talk about, like, the Buffalo thing, but then who cares about that? That's just ephemeral. Maybe I'll talk about that in Content Minded. But, like, there is what's happening with the Trump thing. Apparently, this like guy that's, like, obsessed with Trump, he's, like, filing all these orders in different states. Apparently, he got pinched for, like, fraud or something, or, like, they're gonna take his lawyer's license away or something like that. What happened?
Good.
I sent you the article, Prude. Maybe you can.
Let me go pull it up real quick.
No, it's in the frog. It's in your chat. I sent the tweet.
Fuck, yeah. I gotta go find it now.
I believe Jack Posobiec. It was some account like that. It was either Benny Johnson or Jack Posobiec had this like viral tweet where the guy that's filing all these claims against Trump, he's getting pinched he's getting pinched for
I'm looking for
corruption.
it. Is this the New
Yeah,
York? Was it a New York Post one?
I think it's New York
No,
Post. Yeah.
it's not. I'll find it. I'll find it. It's not a big deal. Um,
But it's
but
like one guy filing in different states. How does this work, Prude?
well, if you're filing in federal court, you can file in different states.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, it depends, right?
yeah.
I'd
But apparently
have
it's
to
like this
find it.
one guy that's like obsessed with Trump. He's like filing all these like all these court cases in different states against Trump. He's probably getting paid by some organization, probably. You know, another thing too, Prude. You know what funny? You
Like
like
if you
talk
work on
about
behalf of an organization and you're an attorney, like you can file just about almost anywhere. I mean, you can coordinate with local teams. I mean, I don't know of many lawyers that are licensed to practice law in like I don't know 20 states or anything. Like you can be licensed. I know a few people that are licensed to practice in 3, like Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, but I mean, it just depends. He's probably working for a nonprofit group or some NGO that's suing to keep Trump off the ballot. But it does illustrate that the people you're
but
working against are a corrupt, evil political machine.
no, but if some investigative journalist that works for, I don't know, Revolver or somewhere, like, can't you like make a case that if you could link some of these lawyer NGOs to the Democrat Party, that's interference against Trump? Like, isn't this like plainly obvious that they're being paid off by some Democrat super PAC organization to like file this like legal affair against the Trump campaign? Like, isn't this obvious to people? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
But
Isn't this pretty obvious?
Is that going to stop him?
No, it's not going to stop them, of course. But I mean, like, they make such a neurotic, like, they have like this neurosis about Trump like being paid or Trump interfering in the election. But it's like when it comes to like it's probably obvious that all these lawyers are being paid off by the Democrat Party to go after Trump. I mean, isn't this obvious? Like it's I don't know, man. America
Does it matter if it's all like
it
at a
doesn't
certain point?
matter.
Yeah, like uh,
Who creates the exception.
yeah, these are the exception people, like
I feel like some investigative journalists could probably blow the lid on this. That this lawyer is being paid by this organization. This organization's taking super PAC money from the Democrats. It's like you could probably make a case, but it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
it's gonna
yeah, and you
matter,
can go and you can link to Open Secret, and everyone can find out exactly just like, um,
Yeah.
oh, this is how much they donated. But everyone is so checked out, and the average American doesn't give a shit, right? Like you have to
No.
be like really politically invested to do this work, and this isn't to shame on people who do investigative journalism with respects to money, whether you're like a progressive or a rightist. I really don't care. I think it's important that people should know where this money comes from. But unfortunately, for like the average voter, no one gives a shit because everyone knows that it's corrupt. Everyone knows billions of dollars flows into it. Like
Yeah.
so many people have just checked out and do not care. And that's how it
Well, it's
is.
well, I know. Yeah, you're right. But it's because like a lot of these like journalists and like these Antifa circles, what they do is they come up with these like schizo conspiracies, but like conspiracies on the left where like Trump and it's always like Stephen Miller or like some other figure of the Trump campaign or like Steve Bannon. They're like using dark money to influence America and help Trump win the election. It's like hasn't like every president of like the Democrat and the Republican Party, don't they like quote unquote technically use dark money to get elected? I don't understand why it's like particularly nefarious when it's like Stephen Miller is like using dark money to check notes, get Trump elected again. Like I don't understand. Is like it's but it's funny because it's like when it comes to the Democrats using legal fare and like clearly activist judges and lawyers to sink the Trump campaign, it's like that's fine though. That's not a conspiracy. That's fortifying. That's perfectly fine. It's just listen, I know I'm sounding like a boomer con on Fox News, but like,
That's
let's
okay.
maybe it's time to move on if we're sounding like Fox News. But
That's something I will agree with. If we sound like Fox News, it's time to move on.
all right,
Well, that isn't to say that everything on Fox News is like wrong or incorrect, but I
right,
mean,
right.
If we sound like
Hypocrisy,
if
who
we
cares?
sound like boomers, it's game
Yeah,
over, man. Game over.
yeah. Did you watch the?
Uh,
I didn't watch the Casey stream of the
no,
debate.
I was going to watch it later today when I had time. Pat Casey's the only reason why I watch these stupid debates anyway, because like I need to keep you need to keep your feet like in, I guess, like normie dumb politics
Yeah,
with respects to how the world is,
because they
like,
might actually steal it from Trump. That's a real possibility
well,
now.
I honest to God, the amount of money that people have donated to Nikki Haley is insane. Although I will say this, I was really disappointed. Like I felt like um hurt. I say this in jest partially, but like, Steve King, the former Iowa congressman that everyone like called a racist because he was basically saying like alt-right talking points from like 8 years ago in a tweet.
Yeah, Stephen. Well, they love going after him too, Stephen King. Yeah,
Well,
that's
anyway,
hilarious.
Steve King was he's with Vivek, and apparently the guy who succeeded him in Congress endorsed him for the Iowa caucuses. And I'm just like, Steve, you traitor.
Mm,
Like I was like, oh man, all these talks about like, Anglo-Saxon, Western civilization, and here you are endorsing your replacement. Like, it's really depressing. But I like Vivek's not going to get very far in Iowa. I don't know,
no.
and he's doing it, and it also like I wonder what his like plan of attack is. Like, I guess he wants a job in like a cabinet position if Trump gets elected, because like there's no way in hell he's going to be the nominee. Like, so much
No.
money has been behind Nikki Haley. It's not even
Yeah.
funny. And I mean, people and I mean, like, this is where Chris Christie's hot mic moment was right. Like, she's gonna get smoked, and Christie, and DeSantis is like he's not gonna make it. And I guess the implication is that Trump's gonna be the winner. And I mean, he's ahead in Iowa by like 30 some odd points. Like, he's got the commanding lead. Like, I mean, although I see all these polls where it's like
Good
Nikki
point.
Haley's rising up, and it's just like, are we? I understand that there's
Rising
some people that don't
what?
like
12
Trump.
points.
Well, more like 20%, and it's just like I get that
Mm.
there are some people that don't like Trump, and there are plenty of reasons to criticize him.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not a
definitely.
Trump sycophant, but I also like the guy that makes libtard
The
brains
lib's
explode.
bad.
You know.
We gotta stand behind him though. I feel like we gotta really put our criticisms aside at least till he gets elected. If he gets elected.
Well, I applied for that Project 2025 thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, if somehow I got hired to work in, like, I guess the executive branch, if he were
There
to get
has to be
elected,
a
that would be
lib version
fun.
of Alex Jones where like they have
There
like
is the lib
Project
version of Alex Jones. Like, every liberal on
Ouch.
Twitter is like a libtard Alex Jones because they're schizophrenic. They think that like a New York Democrat who had politically safe opinions 30 years ago is the reincarnation of Adolf Hitler. Like, I'm sorry. Like, Trump. I mean, Alex Jones likes to blame everything on the cheat comms or whatever. Oh God, globalists, those cheat comms are everywhere. And it's just like every libtard on Twitter is just like, he's a fascist. He's the reincarnation of Adolf Hitler. It's the end of the world. And it's just like, okay, both of you are equally insane. One of you, unfortunately, has the power of the state behind you, and you
Yeah.
would probably get off scot-free if you murdered me. So, I don't care about Alex Jones. I care about the like crazy libtard who calls me a fascist and that wants me executed. Like,
Yeah.
game on, bro, game on. But
No,
and
but
it's
what
really,
I mean
and
is
it's and
like
it's really funny because this is actually a fun story. And now that because there are some people at church who know who I am, which is really unfortunate.
mm.
But I'll tell the story, and I'm not gonna give away any names or anything. But I just thought it was really funny because like, so we stream to Twitter as well as
Linda
YouTube.
on the church committee recognized me. No, I'm kidding.
No, 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 no. This is no, 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 no. There's a lovely there's a very autistic married couple in my parish, and I say
Oh,
autistic because they're like
they're
they
like
met
that
online.
selective reading
I'm sure
couple.
I won't tell their names, but I thought it was really cute because like they met online as a couple, and they met through like a Fallout forum, and that's how they got
Oh my
that's how they
god,
met.
that is
It's super adorable. It's super adorable. They're one of my favorite couples at my
they
parish.
went through a follow
I love them to death, but they're also kind of like on our
That's
like they're kind of
crazy.
like on our side with things politically. And so last Sunday, because they've been out, they work a lot more than other people, so they weren't there this weekend. And I got a text from the wife of theirs, of this couple, and she was like, "Hey, can you like, hey, the new like lectionary calendar, like for the saint of the day and stuff like that. It was, can you get me one?" And I was like, "Yep, here's one." And I dropped it off at work, and then she was telling me this story about how like she's got a like she comes from like the whole D&D like Roll20 kind of like they're huge nerds, right? And like I
Oh
don't
my
fault them.
god.
They're my people spiritually speaking, because like I'm also a huge nerd. I used to do a lot of this. I used to play a shitload of Pathfinder and other tabletop games before I moved. And she was like, "Hey, I know that you have the sort of like online presence, and me and my husband like we like your stuff. We just don't like it publicly, because like I know that you like keeping a pretty sharp divide between your like church life and your online punditry stuff." But I thought it was really funny because like we have some like basically we have some libtards in our friend group, and one of them saw that you were streaming on Twitter, and they got really mad. They're like, "Why is this fascist on my timeline? Blah 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 blah." And she mentioned that it was you and I. And she was like, "I can't say that I know you because that would cause some issues." And I was like, "Yeah, it's probably good that you didn't mention that you know me." And I just
Was it
find it.
you streaming or DA?
No, it was the Digital Archipelago. It was the both of us. It was last week
Whoa.
while we were live and showing our faces on camera. And
But
she
how
had
would
just
some libtard have like us on their feed?
no idea. No idea. Maybe she's
Oh my
friends with
god.
someone who likes us. I just think it's funny. And so she was just
Whoa.
explaining to me that, like, yeah, like, so my like libtard friend thinks that you're a fascist, and I said, well, that probably wouldn't be the first time that that's happened. I just find it really
I wonder
funny
what we were
that
talking about that would
it doesn't
make a
matter,
big
man. Like, we're just a bunch of right
uh,
wingers, and it doesn't matter. Like, even if you have some like weird, like niche conceptual history, monarchist tendencies, like they're gonna call you
yeah,
fascist
it doesn't
anyway.
matter anymore.
I just thought it was super funny to like, because I keep a very fine line between church life, IRL life, and the Prudentialist, the amphibious reactionary on the internet. And I just thought it was funny that it's slowly being blurred, and I'm not a fan of that. I mean, like I confess the stupid stuff that I say on the internet, like oh, I made fun of my coworker for being fat again. Like I've done that. And
Mhm.
I'll be confessing this Saturday about blowing up on my audience last week. But like it's just it's a funny thing to think, where it's just like, oh, um some libtard found out of who we are, and my church friends found out that
Some
way.
lib a lib found the
I
Digital
just thought it
Archipelago
was, yeah,
drawer.
it's like the mom found like the piss drawer or whatever. It's like libtard found the Digital Archipelago show on twitter.com. It was really funny.
Oh.
Although there's a blurred line, because like there's
That
a
was
guy
like
that
when AA discovered the Miku hit piece. That was funny.
I would that was funny, and I think
That was
people should
funny.
learn to take jokes. But and it's what's worse is like there's this guy that's been visiting for like a few months now at the church, inquiring and beginning the catechesis process, and he identified me by voice. And I thought that was super uncomfortable. He's like, because he had mentioned, like, because we were talking about, like, oh, podcasting, what he listens to. And he name dropped Pete Quinones. And I was like, okay, so he's like a safe, our guy kind of person to talk to.
Yeah.
And he's just like, your voice sounds incredibly familiar. And I was like, fuck. No, this is the one place
I've
where this
never
is
been
not
discovered in
supposed to
public.
blur.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now because he'll be like, "Well, Matt, like, how the hell are you? What are the plans for the Prudentialist in 2024?" And I'm like, "Man, this is not the place to be talking about it at post liturgy coffee hour." But since you asked, I have a Substack outlining my plans for 2024, and I plan to write more than I do than to stream. And honest to God, the fact that Substack can do the
Yes,
whole,
it is.
yeah, meritocracy is dead. And
Yeah.
meritocracy is white supremacy. The woke are more correct than the
Hashtag
mainstream.
meritocracy.
Hashtag I'm a meritocratic classical liberal from like the 1890s.
No, but my point
The
was
democracy is great. It's the survival of the white race. Thank you, Teddy Roosevelt.
no, my point was what if like the libs, they have like their own conspiracy. They'll call it like Agenda 2025, where like Trump gets in office and he starts like putting like, heckin' wholesome by POCs in camps or whatever. And like they'll have like this big conspiracy where like they'll say like, see, these are the FEMA boxes. They're perfectly shaped for by POC trans fat people. And it's like, they could fit 5 of them in the FEMA camp. the FEMA coffins, and they'll redo like Alex Jones circa the 2000s, but it'll be like Trump. It'll be like a lib version of it. They'll call it Agenda 2025.
Man, imagine.
They probably already think that. They'll probably think that like if Trump gets into office, they'll like start purging people. You know, they probably
have you
think
have
that.
you not read Project 2025? They do want to purge the civil service.
No, but like they mean like, you know what it like they like any like schizo like right wing conspiracy theorist like Q boomer. It's way worse when it comes to just like mainstream libs that like believe that if Trump gets into office again, it's over for them. So, you know, but there was another take about, you were mentioning Matty Iglesias. You know where Matty Iglesias came with that take about like the virgins or whatever? It's because I could imagine him in college in like 2001 wearing a Planned Parenthood shirt going to like a feminist class or whatever. That's probably where he gets that from. Where it's like, listen, I'm only a male feminist to get pussy. That's probably what his
so like
thing
Obama.
is. Yeah, like Obama. Yeah, yeah.
But you know, he was.
I can't believe Obama dated half a woman.
But he was slinging dick. Let's not kid
Yeah.
ourselves, you know. And by
But he was-
slinging, I mean receiving. Like, we've had gay presidents before. It's just funny that like our erudite, quote unquote, well spoken first black president, whose middle name is Hussein, by the way. I feel like you're telling me in the midst
Barack
of like George
Hussein Obama.
Like, I'm sorry, I still can't get over the fact that like 8 years of the like global war on terror, and like we hate
elected
like,
the guy with the
and we hate
Hussein.
George Bush so much that like the Dems were like, yeah, black guy with the middle name Hussein who happens to be a closet homosexual. This is our pick for the president of the United States whose citizenship is still under question. Like, hot damn, you know, like
2010s are wild.
Honest to God, there needs to be a full retrospective of the Obama like White House, because like he promised to radically transform the country, and he did. And I don't think anyone has talked about the consequences of that.
He became first Indonesian president.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that was like one of the only like good Dasha tweets where she's like, remember when Tucker interviewed that guy? She's like, I can't wait to watch Tucker interview a gay crackhead. It's like, well, that's what Tucker, like, that's why he became free for, to interview a gay guy that smoked crack.
Oh, he was talking about like abiotic oil production or whatever yesterday, and I'm just like,
yeah, the Chinese guy. Yeah. First of all, you're Chinese. I watched a bit of that.
First of all, you're Chinese. First of all, you're a gay crackhead. You know, like I know Tucker is some. I like it, but also at the same time, it's just like, you know, the UFO
he had to
push,
take like the worst
Tate,
Campbot theory,
the Tate interviews, and it's just like, Tucker, go back to the monologues. I don't want an interview show where I'm interviewing gay crackheads and like Romanian-based human traffickers. Like, what the are you doing?
Do people remember when Campbot went on the kill stream, and then he started talking about abiotic oil, and Ethan Ralph didn't know what he was talking about? Remember? I'm an old head. Do you remember this?
Yes, I do. I imagine it went just as well as Curtis Yarvin talking to Ethan Ralph on the kill stream in late last year.
I didn't watch that. Was that all right? Or that was just typical Curtis?
He was less. It was more of Curtis's greatest hits, but it was. You're there more for Ethan's reaction to Curtis talking than you are for Curtis Yarvin at that point. And I will give Ethan some credit. He was a little more sober than usual on that stream with Curtis. So I mean, to me, it was just funny that like,
well, he doesn't have pants. Because
Moldbug announced that he was going on, quote, the kill stream with Ethan Ralph, and he's like, I'm sure he's a nice guy. And I'm like, do you not know who this is? Like, you've been involved in like old, like you've sparred with numerous Wignat blogs during your UR days. How the hell do you not know about Ethan Ralph? In the early like 2010s era of like online politics, like how do you not know? But I just thought that was funny. He's like, I'm sure he's a nice guy, and I'm like, do you know what you're getting into, Curtis? You know? Like, did you take something and you're like, yeah, we're gonna do it, you know, like it'll be a good time.
It's funny. Did you hear, like, it's not like Ethan has pantsu or his kid distracting him anymore, so of course he was a bit more on the ball.
As long as it's not on that 8 ball.
Well, he's skinnier now, so maybe.
Maybe.
You never know.
Maybe.
Ethan Ralph has had me blocked for years now, man. He used to follow me back in the day.
I am
He had
not
me
blocked by
blocked though.
him. I'm blocked by Lindy Man finally, but not by
Yeah.
Ethan.
I've been blocked by Lindy Man for a few years too, by Grifty Man.
By Grifty Man.
You know what's funny? As soon as Claudine Gay resigned, Grifty Man just had a panic attack.
Can Chris Rufo talk about Lindy Man?
Maybe if you want to talk about plagiarism.
Like, can we?
Yeah.
Although I can't help but laugh. This did make me chuckle. Is that like, you know, there are people that are complaining that like, and I mentioned this when I was on Orin earlier this week. I was like, listen, like this whole Claudine Gay would not have happened had not October 7th taken place. And he's like, yeah. And then like what the next thing after quote unquote scalping Claudine Gay, what's the first thing we do? We're interviewing a very Jewish doctor in Texas about transgender surgery. And it's like, okay, neoconservatism is back, baby. It's back. It's back. Anti-woke neocon.
Go on.
We're here. We're here. And it's going to be, you know, on January 20th, 2025. Nimrata, Rwanda, Haley. It's the next president of the United States. And Chris Rufo will say namaste. And a million libtard professors will be fired. Neoconservatism is back, baby. I'm not. This is a nightmare. I've seen this in my nightmares.
I'm skeptical of like we can weaponize like normie neoconservatism to like get rid of BIPOC professors. I'm skeptical.
Well, it's just reemerging its ugly head. Like that's all this is. Like you've had for like the last several years this like really sort of like the right doing some weird soul searching where like the DR to some extent was a big part of that. All of its iterations from alt-right to today. We're like, well, listen, neoconservatism has fundamentally failed the American people. It is fundamentally like anti-white, and every time that like these two groups come together, the majority always has to cede sovereignty to the minority group to make the coalition happen. And it just does not work for the majority. Like it just doesn't. Like we saw this in the reaction to the civil rights movement. We saw this in reaction to the crisis in the 70s, and we saw this in reaction to George W. Bush. Like, just does not work. And so it's rearing its ugly head again. And now that there is quote unquote energy in this new place, well, what does the neoconservatism tend to do? Well, it tends to quash radicalism, like the John Birchers, like others of the old right, or even the new right of the 1980s with like Bob Whitaker and such. And now all of a sudden we're seeing it play out.
They crushed Buchanan.
Well, yeah, and they crushed Buchanan. And they called him an anti-Semite, and they called him a bigot, and they said, you know, wanting to reduce immigration was akin to pogroms. And so it's just like,
they said that back then in the 80s?
Yeah, like there was a huge concern about like 80s and 90s like immigration reduction. Like I'm talking about like net negative migration. And there were some prominent neoconservative writers that had made that akin to the bigotry of the 1910s and 20s in Russia and other places. Yeah.
Oh my god!
And so
that's incredible.
Yeah, like now we're talking but now you get like normie cons on the Blaze, right? Who were doing that whole Iowa conference last year, and I was like listening to some black guy say like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to like deport millions of people," and I was like, "What world am I in where this is happening?" We're like,
we need a black Trump rapper. You know this Trump rap?
No, we don't. There's a million of them.
We need them to say like millions must be deported.
We don't need them. We do not need them. It's like I refuse to stand by the Wiggerification of like right-wing politics. It's so ugly. I don't care if I'm classist or whatever. I'm done. You know.
No, but we gotta get like I mean that is a losing strategy too, to get like we gotta have like base minorities say deport millions. But I mean maybe under Trump, like he's got enough swagger, it probably could work where it's like if like people in the black community, they're like, listen, you realize that like mass immigration also like we're the first to get hit with like unemployment and everything. And plus we just hate Mexicans. They should just come out and be like, yeah, we hate Mexicans. Like it's like we've been having a turf war against Mexican gangs forever now, since at least the 1980s. And it's like, imagine if like some Tommy Sotomayor character just like came out. He has said similar things. Like people like Tommy Sotomayor, they just like come out and say it. They're like, yeah, you know what? Mass immigration affects black people in America, so get rid of them. You know, like deport. And it's like, yeah. So
imagine, right? Like you sort of meme the quote unquote like great replacements. It's like look at Compton, you know, home of the NWA, and now it's like all Mexican.
It's no longer Boys in the Hood. I'm telling
No,
you.
no,
It's La
it's
Raza in the Hood. It's not it's not Boys in the Hood anymore, man. That was
uh,
actually a great film. You ever watch Boys in the Hood?
yes, I have.
That unironically, that should have stayed like okay, that should have stayed the model of like black masculinity because it talks about like how having a good father like saves you from gang violence. And it's like that was a great film. That was a Kino film. But nowadays they have like this weird black Twitter thing where they want to like effeminize black men. And like so like unironically Tariq Nasheed's correct. They want to I mean he's correct for the wrong reasons. But like the model is no longer this like ultra masculine gangbanger. Now it's like an effeminate, like Donald Glover type of black guy.
Yeah.
It's like the sensitive. It's crazy, man. Because Boys in the
Well,
Hood,
it's like that
yeah,
too
it was a
in
good movie.
modern media where and not to go full Tariq Nasheed, I just find it entertaining that like, oh, what they did to the white man in Hollywood, they're doing now to you, black man.
Yeah.
Like you watch like I haven't seen the second season. I did watch it with my parents. The first season of Jack Reacher, like the new
Oh
show
yeah.
they have that like really just
Second
giant.
season went totally off the cliff.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure it did.
Into
I imagine
wokeness.
they can't have a good show with like a by the books, just like 6'2" jacked white guy be a good hero protagonist. But anyways, like he had what's the sidekick of the local like detective or whatever? It's this like really effeminate 3-piece suit dressing black guy.
Yeah.
And it's just like I don't
They
know,
they
man. Like if
don't.
I in the same
Yeah.
like I'm not if I were black, I would just be like, man, what the hell? Like
They don't want black guys in America to be
no, they want
like
them to be gay little
they
metrosexuals.
want to
Like
be Lil Nas X. They don't want them to be they want him to be Ice Cube's character in Boys in the Hood. They want him to be Little Nas X. That's what they want black guys in America to be. It's like unironically, it's the Henry Kissinger strategy.
like, like we're just gonna twink you out. And it's just like I would be pissed.
We're
I
gonna
would be
sugar plum you.
pissed.
Yeah, if I
Like
was a black guy in America, I'd be pissed, man.
listen,
Like
you're no
it's
longer Kinta Kunte. You're now going to just be like, black gay
you're no
guy
longer
number
Pookie.
6.
You're a different Pookie. Yeah.
Yeah. You're you no longer run this bitch. You are the bitch. Like I mean, the same thing has happened already to like
That's
white
unironically
America.
what Kissinger wanted to do to them. Do you remember that leaked? Where he's like, let's turn them into homosexuals. That's like Kissinger unironically said,
We will
let's
turn
turn
you
black men in
homosexual.
America.
This is the American way of foreign policy. We will resolve the Israel-Palestine conflict. We will make
Just have to
them all
turn one of them
gay.
gay.
We will make Tel Aviv the homosexual capital of the world. And I think Dr. Kissinger was right. As
Yeah,
Tel
it's
Aviv is the
happening.
gay capital of the world.
No, but it's funny though because like they have like
We talk
this.
about how during COVID, there was vaccine diplomacy between like China and Russia, giving like the vaccines that weren't American made to like countries like India or like Brazil or Paraguay, and
or Russia.
and it was incredibly well done. Like it was very good vaccine diplomacy, and we see this now with Israel. They do the same thing, but instead of vaccines, it is hormonal replacement therapy, and it is important to know that like Governor Pritzker of Illinois is doing the same thing now. That he's got that transgender family member of his, and she's a prominent Democrat and close ties to the Israeli lobby. I think it's very important for people to discuss.
Oh my god! It's what's funny. It's like at the end of
I could keep that
Kissinger's
voice
life.
going for like the rest of the show, but yeah.
No, but it's funny because at the end of Kissinger's life, he like totally regretted everything. He's like, yeah, I think the whole like multicultural global gay disco, it's probably not, it was probably a bad thing.
The
But I'm
biggest
gonna die
mistake of
soon, so
my
who cares?
entire career was bringing in millions of people who do not share our culture.
Yeah, he
It's
said that
just like you.
unironically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, he did. He did. And it's just like it is. I would be an anti-Semite if not for the accident of my birth. But I've been reading some interesting literature in my late 90s, and I really do think that
He was reading the
the
Occidental Observer. That's
I
Kissinger
think
was
that
reading.
Kevin McDonald guy's made some very good points over the years. And I wish I had read him sooner when I was still working at the National Security Administration.
Can you
So much would
imagine,
have
like,
changed.
it's like you look at Kissinger's phone and in a tab to the Occidental Observer. It's right there. That would make like YouTube. That would make like BreadTube millennial video essayists hate Kissinger even more. That could be like a talking point that GDF or someone could use is like Kissinger was
I
reading
am
the
arch
Occidental Observer.
racist Henry Kissinger. You know, I've been bombing Cambodians for as long as I was alive. And I relished every moment of it. Just the taste of her flesh makes me think of Nixon every
Kissinger
time.
was reading the Stormer with his DuckDuckGo app. Oh my god! No, can you imagine like Kissinger becomes like an insane racist? Yeah,
you
like
know,
an
it's
insane
kind of
like
funny
race
because
realist.
Roger Stone still holds seances. We communicate. I still direct American foreign policy from beyond the grave.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that like the millennial like leftists, they probably do view Kissinger as like if he would have like you'd been reading like culture
You know, I
critique
am
or
the
whatever. Yeah,
reincarnation of a man who tried to kill my family in the 1930s. You know,
yeah. It's
that's
very
what all
funny
these
how
leftists think of me. They think of me as some kind of Jewish Hitler, and I don't know why.
that's
I
what they
never
think
built.
of him as. Yeah,
I never built camps. We just bombed them.
yeah.
Also, by the way,
Oh,
to the lovely audience that is listening, if you haven't given Gio any money, I will
please,
find
this
you with a B-52 bomber, and I will kill you.
I would do, yeah,
My
because he's
spirit
like,
will
if you don't
rise from
donate
the
to the Digital
grave.
Archipelago, I'm gonna do to you what I did to Cambodia.
If you do not donate to the Digital Archipelago and give Gio your money, I will turn your home into Cambodia circa 1970. And I will relish every moment of it. And I
That's
will call
gotta be a
Roger
clip.
Stone from beyond the grave. And he will find you and hunt you down
Roger
and put you in
Stone is.
prison. And
Don't you know that Roger
if you don't
Stone
give
is?
him money, Roger Stone will tie you down to a bed and take off your shirt and do a prison style
It is
ink
polycule.
tattoo, a prison style ink tattoo of Richard Nixon's face on your back. Give Gio money now. Also, are we ever gonna get to that fucking article, or is this gonna be like the second episode in Digital Archipelago history
We'll
where
get
we
to it.
don't
We'll
cover?
get to it.
Hurry up, man!
Roger
Pull it up!
Stone.
Pull it up!
Well, there's been accusations that he's been a swinger for years. So I wonder, like, if Roger Stone has like a whole like geriatric polycule where they do seances to like, communicate with Henry Kissinger, and he's like, it's like Henry Kissinger's like reading the Occidental Observer from beyond the grave, because Roger Stone's like giving him articles. That's like the leftist. That's like the millennial bread tuber like nightmare. Is like Henry Kissinger being seanced by Roger Stone, and they're reading Kevin McDonald, or they're reading Ron Unz articles. They're reading Unz review article. Henry Kissinger was like lurking in the Unz review. Oh my god, we can't top that. How are we gonna top that by talking about young adult literature? How are we gonna top this? Okay.
Because I did a gimmick for 5 minutes and that can't be topped. Pull up the article, Gio.
All right. Okay. So this is from the Point Mag. We're totally soiling the Point magazine by our mere presence, but who cares?
I've never heard of this magazine until you shared the article
They're
with
pretty
me,
popular
and I
literature
thought that
magazine.
this was a very good article. I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting.
Whew.
The Age of Adolescence, Judy Blume and the Eternal Young Adult by Rita Koganzon.
Yeah.
Koganzon.
So apparently, for those who
Sounds
know,
like a
Judy
bean.
Blume was. Yeah. Yeah.
Just Koganzon beans. Sorry, Rita. I apologize, but we're a terrible racist right wing podcast. So. You know.
But Judy Blume was the first young adult literature.
Yes.
But, yes.
Do you want to read it?
I'll go first.
Do you want me to read the article in my terrible Henry Kissinger impression?
Imagine you should review an Unz review article with the Henry Kissinger voice, because it will be accurate.
You know,
he was lurking the. I'm gonna DM GDF.
I really no.
Like, did you know that Henry Kissinger was lurking the Unz review?
Oh, that would be terrible. What a great lie to slander a great statesman after he's dead.
What, the Henry Kissinger was a secret Wignat? That
would be funny, but it's not true.
No, it's not true. No, it's not. We're just joking. But so this came from May in 2023. I believe the way I found this was somebody.
I just assumed you got it from default.
No, actually, I sent default because actually somebody, I believe it was Dean Kissick, replying to default that because default's like, what article should I cover? So I believe it was either Dean Kissick or some other art critic that linked to this. So Originally published in 1970, Judy Blume's "Are You God? It's Me, Margaret." So this is the
Are you
ground
there,
zero.
God? It's me, Margaret.
Are you there, God? It's Me, Margaret. It's the ground zero for young adult literature, or what we would know as the category of young adult. Is the story of an 11-year-old girl who moves from New York City to the suburbs while going through puberty and has to try to fit in a new school. Written from the point of view of Margaret, the book is peppered with Margaret's prayers for guidance as she withers the storm of adolescence and navigates intricate middle school social hierarchies. Please help me, God. Don't let New Jersey be too horrible. Spoiler alert, it is horrible. She pleads before the big move. Have you thought about it, God? About my growing? I mean, she wonders after buying her first bra. In a famous scene captured on film for the first time in a new film adaptation of the book, Margaret and her fellow flat-chested friends chant about aloud, we must increase our bust. Wow. So you can see the sort of young adult, especially from a woman's perspective, issues coming about. But as time goes on, though, this message in this style of literature becomes increasingly secularized, because here it's about like this sort of confessional to God, but from a young girl's eyes. But we'll see what happens. A season of Judy Blume rediscovery is upon us, leading us to, and immediately following the film's release in April, celebratory profiles of Blume came out in the New Yorker, the New York Times, and the Atlantic, written primarily by women who came of age in the 70s and 80s at the height of Blume's popularity. So Gen X literary critic type women. The profile hailed Blume's pioneering writing about and for adolescence and praised her for her uncanny empathy for her young readers. That she made teens feel seen was demonstrated by her lifelong fight against the censorship of her books. Still, some of the most banned in the cut. Oh, the whole banned books thing, right, Prude?
Yeah.
That it was banned by some.
I love going to a Books a Million or a Barnes and Noble and seeing like the gayest shit imaginable. This is my banned book section, and they're all like stuff that's taught in like public school, and it's like, man,
it was banned by some like country bumpkin school board.
Excuse me, banned book week. Do you have Camp of the Saints by Jean Raspail? No, you suck. Bye.
Do you have Ride the Tiger by Julius Evola?
I do actually.
No, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I do actually.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
We do actually.
Copy of that.
Is Camp of the Saints worth reading?
Yes, it is worth reading.
I
actually own a physical copy. It was fun to get a hold of.
Mystery Grove by books.
No, Mystery Grove doesn't sell Camp of the Saints. No, because it's funny because like I have like two on the bookshelf that's immediately to my desk, and I need to buy another bookshelf.
Sorry, Mystery Grove publishes Peter Kemp.
I have all the Mystery Grove books.
Yeah.
But I have like two rows. There's like nothing but Christian stuff, so like various Bible translations, commentaries, works of the saints, and some other stuff. And then like I have one section that's like all of my sort of like non-Christian right-wing stuff. So like I've got my like Evola stuff there. I've got my Jean Raspail. I've got my Hour of Decision and other stuff.
You have Writers of Doom.
Oh, you mean the Prophets of Doom?
Prophets of Doom.
Book. Yeah, I don't have AA's newest book. I did buy the Populist.
Yeah, I have the Populist Delusion. Yeah.
No, I haven't bought his other book.
In the thousands of letters of gratitude and requests for advice she has received from them, and even replied to, like a good octogenarian best friend would. The letter started right after Margaret, Dear Judy, most began, writes Emily Weiss Meyer in The Atlantic. Some kids praised her work while others dove right in, sharing their problems and asking for advice. They wanted to scream. They wanted to die. They knew Judy would understand. Blume's fans admired her own biographical tale of second-wave feminist awakening and liberation to accompany. Well, we'll see how that sours later on the article. To accompany the Margaret movie, Amazon released a documentary tribute in which celebrates celebrities like Molly Ringwald rave, everything I learned about sex or crushes I learned from Judy. Wasn't Molly Ringwald in Matilda?
No, Molly Ringwald was in The Breakfast Club and 16 Candles.
Oh yeah.
She was
the awkward brunette girl.
No, she was the redhead.
Oh, I thought she was the Becky.
No, she was the redhead.
Oh, yeah.
If we had a time machine, she would be my 1980s Wood.
Whoa. Judy Blume, where would American girls be without her? So this is about like how the sort of rise of young adult literature. The outburst. Bloom's career as a children's writer was bound up with the culture wars of the 1960s. She came on the scene at moments when new genre was coalescing. The young adult novel, not the youth novel, not the adult novel. In a feature essay in the New York Times in 1969, George Woods, its children's book editor, issued a call for more authentic or realistic approaches to adolescent books, one that reflected the real rhythm of life. Well, oh my God, what a Pandora's box that was going to be released after this, right?
The real rhythm of life. Yeah, okay.
As he believed teenagers experienced it. It came to them hot and strong, uninhibited, expressing their moods and longings. It moves. Sometimes it's tender, sad, a lamentation. Then it's wild and irresponsible. Yeah, just like adolescence. Sometimes contemptuous of tradition. Wow, that would be a pretty strong theme with young adult literature, right? Sometimes it goes nowhere. Yeah, like kind of like all young adult literature. As if
like when you know, didn't Judy? Oh, isn't that where like there's a scene in one of those books, right, where it's like the girl gets called a nuisance, and it's like, yep, that's
Yep.
that. I'm beginning to adopt that like boomer mentality, where it's like, yep, children can be nuisance, but again, that the whole contemptuous of tradition breeds contempt of children, I think.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So
Because
yeah,
because children can't be children. They have to be
they have to
adults
be
right off. Yeah,
contemptuous little rebellious assholes, and yeah, no
yeah,
wonder why like Gen X and Boomer parents are like, man, you're on your own, kid. With your Judy Bloom and your weed and all your other weird stuff. Yeah, bye. I don't. I guess like
yeah.
the more I look at this stuff, I'm like, I can understand why Boomers act like the terrible contemptuous way that they are, and not that I endorse their attitude, but I definitely understand the "screw you, I got mine" attitude. Because if I had to deal with these contemptuous little shits in the 1980s, I'd be like, "I'm writing you out of the will. I'm writing you out of
You
your
know what's funny?
inheritance.
I actually
I
pointed
will
to
get a
Norman.
second mortgage."
I will have a retirement home in Boca.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's funny is because I wrote about this in my book. Like I pointed to Norman Rockwell, that one painting he did with like the girl boss in the principal's office with the black guy where she fought the
Yeah, yeah.
guy. That's like the total attitude of the young adult literature. Like like sort of like a baseless empowerment, I like to call it, because it's like you're too young to have any responsibility, but you're like just old enough to like experience these like real adult issues. Like that's why like the world, like the perfect millennial Gen X world is that of the young adult. It's like I have adult like things I can enjoy, but I have no responsibility. That's like the perfect. That's like the halcyon existence, right? But anyways, and what we need are books to match their music, books that handle life's depths and despairs, its joys and exaltations too. What's needed is to pick up the beat and tempo of life as it's known to
So
them.
selling a simulacra.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Because you have to remember that every young adult book, almost all of them, even when they deal with issues of poverty, it's through an upper middle class bourgeois lens. And yes, that is a Marxist critique, but it's the truth. When you like really look at every young adult novel, even the ones where like the characters are poor, it always has this like weird suburban bias to it. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to describe, but it's there if you really look closely. Yeah. Until the 1930s, publishers did not distinguish between children and adult books, adolescent books. The idea of marketing books to a very specific audience nestled between childhood and adulthood only emerged with the rise of the junior novels during the 30s and 40s. As I've written elsewhere, these early books for adolescents were also realistic in their focus on school, friendship, dating, family life, but typically avoided gloomy or controversial topics. Although most of the junior authors who achieved commercial success in their pre-young adult period, like Edward Stratemeyer and John Tunis, have been forgotten, some products of the early period of adolescent literature, like the Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys series, remains familiar. Woods dismissed these earlier writers for their half-hearted effort at realism, assigning these teen pregnancies to minor characters, devoting only a few brief pages to a character's mensch rather than weaving a beautiful story, a harrowing story about it, and always resolving cries with redemptive endings. The new realism should center the gloomy and controversial. these teenage books that are still trying to indoctrinate their audience with the noble virtues, still sermonizing, Wood concluded, are carrying on a love affair with the past. So you mean to tell me that what we have now is better? Where it's only about teen pregnancies, it's only about sexuality, it's only about the gloomy and controversial. There's no virtues, no sermonizing. It's like, yeah, that's great. That's good job, good job. You know, it's funny how like literary critics, they destroy art. It's very funny that way, right?
Yes.
It's very funny that literary critics are the ones that destroy values. But anyways, yeah. Do you have a point about that, Prude? Or, yeah.
Well, there's been people who've discussed that like the 60s and 70s
Yeah.
are well, there's the creation of the teenager, which comes even earlier. But this is more explicitly focused towards young girls. And of course, like throughout the 60s and 70s, what is the big, women's liberation? And so as with all quote unquote liberation movements, this also requires you to divorce yourself from the family and from tradition. So
Molly
Ringworm. Well, anyways, I mean, this is just part of it. You have to access them to literature and to media that says that actually you don't have to be preparing to have a husband or whatever.
Yeah. Well, we'll see the later part of the article. Judy Blume was not the first writer to heed Wood's call to depict without sermonizing. So it's funny because sermonizing just became the opposite. You know what I mean? Like it became sermonizing about like, lib values. The honor of the first young adult book probably goes to S.E. Hinton for The Outsiders, which is actually a good book. I do like The Outsiders. Published in 1967, when Hinton, unlike her successor, was still an adolescent herself. The author Paul Zindel and Robert Cormier became famous in the 70s for writing books for teenagers that touched on mature themes like peer pressure, death, and sex. But it was Bloom who came to be one of the most prolific and recognizable writers to embody the ethos Woods describes. What distinguished the young adult book was their anti-moralistic depiction of taboo topics. One by one, Bloom's books publicized such previously private experiences as menstruation, sexual awakening, divorce, masturbation, and eating disorders. As she explained to a reporter in 1978, I hate the idea that you should always protect children. Wow. Wow. That's a stunning admission. They live in the same world as we do, unfortunately. They see things and hear things. The worst is when there are secrets, because what they imagine they have to deal with alone is usually scarier than the truth. Sexuality and death, those are two big secrets we try to keep from children. You know what's funny is that the assumption is that children should live in our world rather than we should make the world better for children. You know what I mean, Prude?
Yeah.
That's like the assumption. Just like let children become little adults instead of making a world that's more friendlier to the innocence of children. That's never the assumption for some reason. Anyways, she claims to have written Are You There, God?, whose heroine spends much of the book contemplating her perturbial body and anticipating her first period to provide girls with the information about puberty and sex so that their parents would have held. So I understand like the need for that at that time in the 70s, but like nowadays, I don't know.
Well, I mean, this is just the logical conclusion of those ideas. I mean, this
I don't think children should be kept totally ignorant of horror.
No. But it is the sort of, I guess, sort of like savior.
It's complex. A fixation on it. Yeah.
Well, the fixation is that listen. They deserve to be liberated from like the shackles of tradition or modernity with like the old style shackles of where, you're just going to be raised a certain way. And this is the way things are going to be. It's my responsibility to liberate you from these truths. And I hate where I'm going with this, but it is kind of like, I'm the one with the secret knowledge. You can achieve gnosis if you just read, Are You There, God? It's me, Margaret, right? Like you little girl can break free. And it's just like, man, no. The facts of life.
Well, I do think that like a lot of these people that have trad fantasies, like they try to like shelter their kids or like make them live in a bubble. Like that's also like, modernity is eventually.
But how many actually live in the bubble?
Yeah, true. Well, apart from like Amish people or whatever.
Well, but I mean, okay, like
Like there is like a lot of like weirdo like Baptist Protestant like in America. There's like this big mega church thing of like sanitizing
Well,
media.
yeah, of purity
Yeah, there's
culture,
that. But
but I
like
mean, there's a
I don't
different.
know.
If you're living inside a bubble, like an in-group community that wishes to keep things an in-group community, and I don't think I would want to tell people like, oh yeah, there were a bunch of like bullheaded dykes out there that like beat each other up and utilize plastic toys in order to simulate like what a
There's
man
a
would
bunch of
be.
impossible people out there.
Yeah, there are a bunch
Yeah.
of trannies that like I don't know. I feel like that's fine. I mean, sure, there are things that you can critique about quote unquote purity culture, but most of those critiques that I see don't come from the right or don't come from like a scriptural or church basis. It usually just comes
Right.
from like women who apostatized and just are like whining and whinging leftists.
There's this like weirdo like in evangelical circles, there's like this weird dichotomy. There's like an extreme it's almost unironically like the community we were talking about with the tunnels, right? Where on one side you have like these crazy like evangelical feminists that are like totally lived out and they like, just want to like subvert. Then you also have like these like weirdo like Andrew Tate style trad like manosphere types that are also like negative in another way. It's like they can never be like like it's they have like this weird thing in like in evangelical circles. It's like this weird schizophrenia politically, where it's like one has to be more extreme than the other has to be more extreme in turn. So it's like to me, I don't know, that's like kind of not healthy. But at the same time, it's like nowadays, like parenting is it's either passive or it's all about exposing kids to like quote unquote adult issues. Like nobody can be like I hate to sound like this, but nobody can be normal. Nobody can like prepare their kids for like what the world is, but also
Not
try
not
to
not to
like
be not to be that guy, but what's normal?
well, true.
Like what is normal these days in 2023? Like normal these
Right.
days is the expectation that your teenager is eventually going to get a smartphone and just be totally fucking mind
Their mind is going to be
mind
exploded.
fried
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
little bit. Like everyone makes the meme about like imagine like a cheesy gordita crunch being exposed to like the immune system of a 14th century medieval peasant.
Oh
Like,
yeah, they die.
for
Yeah.
14-year-old neuroplasticity being exposed to like social media, TikTok pornography. Like, yeah, they're gonna get blitzed. And not many of these people will survive to be functioning human beings. Like the great filter is here. And it's just and I feel like Judy Blume and all these other like the young adult novel, the creation of the young adult heroine who will like, we'll tell you about the facts of life. Yeah, we menstruate. Yeah, we're
And it's
fucking
always like
cool.
the girl boss, like the butchy, like
Nothing's changed.
yeah.
Like, and also like not, and we talked about William Gibson a while back, but I mean like even Neuromancer, right? Like the sort of like strong kind of like alpha male female archetype, like interesting for the first time, but like everyone has
Yeah.
taken that archetype and has just done it for every young adult novel ever since. And so like every girl's a Katniss Everdeen. Every girl can be, Margaret from
There,
Judy
what was
Blume's
that
book.
show back in the 70s and 80s? It was like the four women, the four teenage girls. It was like one of them was like the girl boss, was like the kind of like the
From the
butchy like
70s?
was in the 70s. Yeah, what was it called that show?
I don't know.
I'm
I
sure
mean, like,
like
do
if
you
Patrick Keogh is listening, he probably knows that show. Where
are
it's
you
like
referring like
the four
there was
women.
the Golden Girls in the 80s,
No, it
and
was
that
like
was
the
all
four
elderly
girl.
women.
Was it Party of Five? Let me look this up. Party of Five.
Party of 5 was in the 90s, good sir,
No,
and
no.
that
It wasn't Party of Five. It was like they were like teenage girls, but there was like one of them was like the
oh, that was
tomboy
with
girl
Jennifer
boss.
Love Hewitt too. It was a good time.
It was like in the
Um,
70s. It wasn't Charlie's Angels. No, it was something
no,
else.
no,
It
no,
was
no.
this is like ancient TV, and like one of them had like a sexual awakening plot line. It was like one of these, like one of them was the fat girl. Then you had like the girl boss who was like a tomboy. Then you had no, it wasn't 90210. No, Kate, no. Kate's revealing her Gen X right there. It was one of these shows. It was like in the 70s, I think. My mother watched this show. It
Yeah,
was like one of those.
I can't help you with this one. I don't watch a lot
I
of
forget. I gotta
television.
look it up. It was one of these like it wasn't the traveling pants. Anyways, let's move on. I think it was Facts of Life. It was Facts of Life. Yeah, it was Facts of Life. I think.
Oh, jeez.
I think it was Facts. Let me check. Yes, it was Facts of Life. Yes, it was that one.
9 seasons of the Facts of Life.
Yeah. My mother watched this show. Thank you, KJ. It was
Oh,
Facts
and
of
Molly
Life.
Ringwald was in it. Look at that.
Is this a dream, Gio.
With budding social activists, a small town girl from and Molly Parker.
KJ comes in with the clutch. Yeah, it was Facts of Life.
You know, I think
Facts of Life had like the
thank God
butch girl
thank
boss.
God for our older audiences.
Yeah,
No
and then
offense,
she
we're
had
thankful.
yeah, and then there was the fat one, but the fat one had like a sexual experience, but the like yeah, it was like this is like peak like boomer like younger boomer Gen X yeah, that like Facts of Life was ground zero for a lot of like the
And a
later
spinoff of Different
iterations.
Strokes.
Yeah, like Different Strokes. Yeah, it was an 80s show. Yeah, my mother watched it. Facts of Life. Yeah, it had like that stupid intro, like da 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 da. Facts of Life. Come on. You probably watch Facts of Life because of your like
No, I
retrograde military brat television experience.
didn't watch it. I didn't. Like, you talk
You
about
watch
just
Facts of
sheltered
Life?
experiences. Sorry, that was one of them. I didn't watch a lot of television. I didn't watch a lot of children's cartoons growing up.
Man.
I've still never seen a full-length episode of SpongeBob or The Simpsons, and I'd like to keep it that way.
Oh my god, you never seen SpongeBob?
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, so
And I'm okay with that. And I'm
they
okay
had her
with that.
mentally challenged
I can
cousin
ride a
visit at
bike.
the school one time. Oh man, we gotta review Facts of Life. I feel like we should watch
I'm
it. It's
not
just like
watching. How many seasons did that run for? 9
six,
seasons.
9
No,
seasons.
I'm not watching 9 seasons of television.
Did you miss
I
out
get
on VeggieTales?
yes and no. I saw some of it, not a lot of it.
Imagine being blue pilled on The Simpsons. Yeah, that's true.
Neither for there you go, Jake. Let's fucking go.
Oh man, but Facts of Life was really like it's sort of like who produced Facts of Life? Was it Norman Lear? If it's Norman Lear, I'm gonna eat my hat. If it's Norman Lear,
created by Dick Clare and Jenna McMahon.
Okay, so if it wasn't a Norman Lear production,
No, it was not a Norman Lear production. Was Different Strokes a Norman Lear production? That's an interesting question.
What was the butch one called? What was her name? Jody? I forget.
No, it was created by Jeff Harris and Bernie Kukoff.
I forget the butch one. What her name was? The girl boss one. Cast main characters. Edna. I think it was Blair. Blair was the. Who was the fat one? I forget.
I can't help you with this.
Anyways, let's move on.
Please.
Reject sitcoms. X-File nationalism. Exactly.
X-Files nationalism. Let's go. The truth is out there. It's underground.
You probably watched Steamboat Willie, right? Steamboat Willie.
Yeah, I was alive when Steamboat Willie was on the air. Saw it in the movie theaters with alongside.
What was the Tugboat show? I watched the Tugboat show when I was a little kid. That was my favorite.
Oh, Tugboat?
That and Thomas. Yeah, Jody was the butch. Exactly. Blair was the stuck-up materialist. Yes, exact. Thank you, KJ.
Oh, Theodore Tugboat, Canadian television series.
Yeah, Theodore Tugboat was my favorite show. One of my favorite shows when I was a little kid. Is there any Leafs in the chat? Do you remember Theodore Tugboat? Anyways.
5 seasons.
Yeah, that was my favorite. It was my little kid moment. Anyways, let's move on. Where was I at? The kids of age I write for, she adds sexual topics and bodily changes are their consuming interests. Wow. Yeah, look, we have a world where these are the consuming interests of Zoomers. And look, us millennials, we really did a number on Zoomers. Anyways, in addition to access to forbidden information, Bloom sought to provide her readers. Yeah, well, it was more their parents. It wasn't us. We were just.
I don't think we did that much.
Well, it's kind of like how victims abuse little kids too. It's kind of like that. That's what.
It's how the
millennials are to Zoomers.
The cycle of abuse and pederasty continues.
Yeah. My grandmother was born the year Steamboat Willie was released. Oh my God, Philip.
Wait. Oh, Steamboat Willie. Okay, I thought he was about to say Theodore Tugboat. I was like, what? Oh Lord.
Philip, I can't put that up. I don't know if that's going to be true. We'll see what happens. Bloom sought to provide her readers with a therapeutic outlet to affirming their feelings and fears and showing that they were not abnormal or even unusual. Yeah, like okay. To play devil's advocate, in the 70s, I understand this, but then look what happened after. We've gone totally overboard to where we have no to where the sort of fears and neuroticism around growing up is never real. It's always a perpetual thing to where we're just stuck in this crazy neuroticism over our bodies and sexuality. And it's It never progresses into actual maturity. That's the whole problem, which this article will talk. Anyways, realism is letting young people read about some feelings they have and coping with some problems they have. But then it never transcends to anything beyond that. That's the problem. She told the Los Angeles Times in 1980. My mother's really gonna like freak out when I mention the facts of life on the show.
Does your mom listen?
No, but I'll tell her that like I mentioned facts of life on the show.
So I would behave 100% more differently if either of our parents listened to this stuff.
Yeah, true. No, but it's funny because my mom like actually watched Facts of Life in the 80s. There's a need to let them know that they're not alone in the world. Yeah, that's true. But then young adult literature became the world. So, anyways, you want to take over, Prude? My mouth is getting dry.
Yeah. Unlike the where did we start off? Or where'd you end?
Unlike the other overtly material. Yeah.
Unlike the overtly moralistic genres of the public service announcement, the school health class, and the after-school special, all of which sought to raise public awareness of the same social issues Bloom took up. YA argued that the best way to help kids was to avoid overt moral lessons.
Was it really?
Is it really?
Yeah. I wonder.
Anyways, Bloom explores the feelings of children in a non-judgmental way, wrote Robert Lipsyte, a fellow young adult author. The immediate resolution... You don't have to move your cursor. The immediate resolution of a problem is never as important as what the protagonist will learn about herself by confronting her life. Although parents sometimes objected to the young adult book's depictions of immoral behavior, it was the amorality of Bloom's depictions that most raised parents' ire. When parents in the DC suburbs complained in 1980 that it was inappropriate for school libraries to include Blubber, a story about a fifth grader who was taunted for being overweight, their objection was not to the subject matter, but the fact that bullying was never redressed or punished. Bloom
I agree. As a fat kid, I 100% agree. I should have been bullied more. I wasn't like I hate to say I wasn't that bullied. Like I was bullied sometimes, but like I wasn't like that bullied.
And maybe
I should have been bullied more.
And here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Bloom countered that the fact that
I should really stop admitting things about my life when I was a kid. I should stop this. It's like riding a bike.
Gio not talking about his childhood trauma challenge. Impossible. Yeah. Bloom countered that it's the fact that it's not resolved is the most important part of the book. I don't think you can change children's behavior. You can make them aware. Oh, bullshit. Bullshit. We can change children's behavior all the time. We've turned an entire generation of children into trannies. Don't tell me that we can't change children's behavior.
No, it's very easy.
Eat a dick, Judy
The left
Bloom.
says that, but yet they change children's behavior. Yeah.
We can't change children's behavior, but you can make them aware. I mean, aware of what? Aware of what? That
cut off their genitals?
That freaks exist? That some strange little guy that comes out of a tunnel might touch you inappropriately? Who knows?
We have to really prove. We got to really curb this. I don't know, man. I get paranoid when we say. But anyways, I don't know.
I will be cleaner. As evidence
we should be cleaner going forward.
As evidence, same. As evidence that her approach was effective, Bloom would often quote from thousands of fan letters we received.
I feel like this is TDS, but like YouTube version of TDS.
Oh man, I don't. You've made that comparison. I now want to kill myself. Like, great. Like, I never want to do this again.
You know what? So you're not Sven and I'm not Mike.
No, I like. Honest to God, like that comparison just like really. Huge.
It makes your skin crawl.
It makes my skin crawl with disgust.
Oh my god!
We're
like, can we be like the right wing cum town instead? No, we can't. We don't have that.
I'm funny. Why not? Sorry, like I'd rather be the right wing cum town than some like YouTube friendly version of that.
You know what's funny is that apparently in the Reese episode, McNabb was getting into heat because he was counter-signaling like the basic existent narrative of the show, where he's like, well, actually, America would have been degenerate anyways. It's like, if it didn't have these people running it. It's like, oh my God, McNabb, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's like you're giving away the whole meta of the existence of DRS. It's like, oh man. Someone sent me a clip of that. I'm like, oh my God,
I'm done. I'm dead.
Who could be our McNabb? The audience.
Chat.
The
But
chat, yeah.
again, to make that comparison,
I'm not casting shade on them. I'm just saying, like, it's funny. Like, I don't know. Man. Look at what Dice says here. I'm fine with Gio oversharing, not because it's interesting, because it's coherent with how he currently is. Oh my god. That's
moralism turned kids off.
all right. Let's
Non-judgmentalism
continue.
won their trust. Did it though?
Wait, okay, where are you reading?
As evidence that her approach was effective, Bloom would often quote from thousands of
Oh,
fan
okay.
letters she received from kids every year at the peak of her career, in which they confessed their troubles to her and sought her advice. Moralism turned the kids off. Non-judgmentalism won their trust.
Yeah, but that's not a good thing though.
It's like
That's
a
the
Pied
problem.
Piper effect.
Yeah, it is a Pied Piper effect. I mean, that's what I
In his
mean.
paean to Bloom in 1997, the critic Mark Oppenheimer credited Bloom with being the first to divulge these truths to him and his peers in the 1980s. We had learned about puberty from Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, and Then Again, Maybe I Won't, about sex from Forever, and about divorce from It's Not the End of the World, he claimed. But by 1979, according to the historian Jonathan Zimmerman, 90% of American schools taught sex education. The year before, a 13-year-old fan of Bloom told a New York Times reporter that adults get mad when we read because we read Judy Bloom, but we knew about that stuff before. What then were the secrets that readers like Oppenheimer felt that they had been initiated into?
Well, now we have the internet, so
It's
sex
even
ed is
worse.
almost entirely relevant. Yeah,
It
it's
it,
even worse.
it really is. Like I
Yeah.
maybe like honestly some like sharp moralism probably would do some good in today's world. Not and I don't mean I'm not haranguing this in the trad thing, but like listen, I maybe like if a sex ed class were to do something about like the emotional and moral and like physical weight that comes with like a 19-year-old girl miscarrying.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like and I'm not married. I've never been in a situation where that has happened to me, but if someone were to tell me, oh, we had a kid going, I was pregnant, and then like a month or two later I miscarried, like that would break me. I don't know, like
Mhm.
that would be some heavy weight, and I feel like maybe that
Yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know, like some sort of like listen, you're gonna carry that weight, you're gonna carry that child, you're gonna carry this burden. And the same thing with like STIs or childbirth or whatever. Like, listen, I mean, like, there's diseases out there now that are antibiotic resistant or really immune to it. So it's just like maybe some of that would be good. I don't know.
But I feel
Go
yeah, no,
ahead.
but that's what I mean, like, the culture war thing, if you're a
You can't
millennial, if
escape
you
it. You can't escape it.
no,
Like
no, but what I mean
the
is, like
culture war is forever, in part because like
yeah.
some aspects of our society have been deconstructed to a point where it is now an entrenched battlefield where we're just lobbing grenades and rifle fire at each other, and no ground can ever escape. And all that we're looking at is a bloody no man's land. But instead of that no man's land just being filled with craters and explosions and rats, it's filled with the craters, explosions, and corpses of our civilization. All that
Yeah.
we, and one side started it more than the other, I think. And it's just, yeah, we knew about this stuff before, but I mean, like, now what? It's people who think that the idea of a feminist protest is to take their clothes off and to protest in the name of transgression. It's like,
No, I
congratulations,
mentioned the
you've
slut walks in my book too, yeah.
yeah, this I mean, from shout your abortion to slut walks to kink at pride to
Oh,
people.
it was like in the early 90s they had like in the late 90s they had with Gloria Steinem they had that campaign like I had an abortion like the
Yeah, shout your
t-shirts.
abortion and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
No,
it's
but
just what have we done other than brutally mutilate the face of what once was a culture, or even better, it's like we took a knife to the face of like a 13-year-old girl or boy and told them that this is the world that you inherit, and congratulations, we've made it ugly, and so every time that you look in the mirror you're also ugly.
yeah.
And I know that like Josh Earl guy from like Project Liberal or whatever thinks that like hating the ugly is the first cornerstone of like becoming a fascist. But the inverse cornerstone of the tip of the iceberg is just saying that like beauty is ugly, and I hate beautiful people and I hate beautiful things leads to the sort of world of septum pierced, dysgenic, spiteful mutants that we see in Antifa mugshots all the time. And that's the world that we live in now, is that one side thinks that we're perpetually going to be Hitler. The other side recognizes that they are an ugly, dysgenic bunch of human beings that don't ever want to look up to anything great because they know deep down that they can't be. Because somewhere years ago, as a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old, or even younger, someone told them about all these things. And someone
Yeah.
told them that the world is an ugly place and that they're going to be ugly too. And so they became ugly. And it sounds really stupid to like link this all to this sort of Judy Blume stuff, but to some extent, it is
We
good when
live
the
in the young
bad guy.
adult world.
We live in a
Yeah.
world where it's the eternal spring. There is no September. September never ended. You're constantly asleep in dreamland. And that's why you have so many people that talk about being dinks or talk about, that I'm a parent to a dog. And we live in a world where we never want to
And
escape
they
the
yeah.
the 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 classroom, people pursuing their master's degrees or their postgraduate degrees because they don't want to live in the real world. Where the idea of having like a pet in a cage, like a hamster or a fish or a frog or whatever, is their idea of like being in the classroom again with a class pet, and that they can live their good life, and that they can read their Judy Blume, or that they can read their new young adult novel and feel like they're 13 again, where they're first being exposed to these things because that's how the cycle of abuse perpetuates itself. And at the end of the
Do
day,
unto others what has been done to me. Yeah.
that's the
Exactly.
world that we live in. And so yeah, when I see like game studios like put self-insert ugly women into like video games, I can't help but understand like yeah, I would do that too because I am ugly and I would want to be seen in a world that hates ugliness. But I'm
I
sorry, like
yeah.
ugliness shouldn't be seen and it shouldn't be celebrated. And I don't mean ugliness in the like physical sense that like oh you're an unattractive like land whale, but
You
ugliness in
mean
the
like
sense
moral
that
and spiritual ugliness.
well, and I mean, it's the same thing that Ronald Dahl talked about, right? Or Roald Dahl, excuse me, where he was talking about this in The Witches, that like, the uglier like a witch becomes, it's because of their bad deeds and what they do, and I feel like it's a real manifestation of our actions. And this is also said in Christian texts as well, in the writings of the
Yeah.
saints. And it's just, even if you're a fat person or someone who's not traditionally attractive, if you're a good person, you want to be around them. And like sure, Gio, you're a bigger guy, but like you're a jolly good person and people want to be around you. And that's what matters. Because if not, if you're like a
Well,
spiteful, conniving, hateful person, like it doesn't matter that you look like a 10 out of 10. It will show. And it doesn't matter if you're attractive, if you're like fucked up and ugly in your soul, like it will reflect on your outer being.
yeah, 100%. No, but that's what I mean. Like, wow, that's a YouTube short worthy rant right there. I gotta start capping these, but for YouTube shorts. But anyways, no, that was true. I think like sorry, I was thinking about the Stain song outside, like because I know you're ugly like me, sort of deal. You're sort of like wallowing in it, right? But no, but that's what I mean. Like to tell like children that the world is ugly and you in turn will be ugly. That is like a terrible spiritual crime. And I think like what I was gonna say before, I guess my point is banal compared to yours, but about like it seems like sex education. Maybe in Canada we avoided this because we liberalized much quicker. But I know like in America, like if you're a Gen Xer or a millennial, um, then it was like that was like the battle of the left was like the sex education obsession. It's like that it's denying children their rights or whatever. And it's like, these like country bumpkin counties weren't like giving proper education to people. It's like that was like the ground zero, I think, of a lot of the culture war that came later. Like it's what we talk about in the show with like the Jesus camp thing. It's like that same
Yeah.
phenomenon of like Gen Xers and millennials. Um, adolescence was like really a staging ground over like the later issues of the culture war. It all stems from the politics of adolescence. And like it's funny because people treat young adult literature like there's literary magazines like the New York Review of Books or whatever that like treat young adult literature like it's you know what I mean? Like it's like this like it's compared to Faulkner or whatever. It's like no, it's like I'm sorry, but like Twilight is not Faulkner, okay? It's not Hemingway. I'm sorry.
Never will be.
It never will be. J.K. Rowling. It's funny because J.K. Rowling's canceled now, so it's like but J.K. Rowling is not Tennyson. I'm sorry, it's not. Anyways, man, that's a lot, but
I mean, it's
wow.
just how I view it is just sort of the truth of things.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, and I think like there is no innocence in the world where we live, where everything becomes this like young adult, deferred adulthood.
And that's
There,
why
there,
there's
there
this
is no innocence
discussion.
anymore.
But that's why there's so much discussion about re-enchanting the world.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
is that we aren't innocent anymore. And I mean, and I mean, I understand why some people. I was having this conversation with Dimes and
Yeah, yeah. J.K.
my.
Rowling is even pearlesced black. That's true. Yeah,
It's
that's
true.
true, Philip. Yeah, it's true.
But I know I was having this conversation with
Uh,
Dimes in my small, tightly manicured or gate kept private Telegram chat, and he was just like, well, sometimes you're aware of things on the right, like these sort of info hazards about like civilization or competency crisis or logistics or like energy usage or whatever, and it just makes you want to like go into the woods and drink. And I'm like, no,
yeah.
but I mean, that's why there's so much discussion about like quote unquote re-enchanting the world. Like whether Dave and Carl were having this discussion, Morgoth was talking about it, even Oren was talking to it with Jonathan Pajot yesterday. And the reason why I feel like that is being discussed is that, for so long has the right, politically speaking, been disenchanted with the world because they know how bad things are, and they don't live in this fantasy of perpetual revolution that the left does, and they recognize that
Right.
things are very bad. And I guess, and I mean, and if you're a Christian, right, the people that we're to be like little children, in spirit and mind, not these sort of like, philosophers of like the Greeks or of the or thinkers of the Orient who have these rationalized, understood, complete Weltanschauungs of the world, but it is instead to be drawn towards the Lord in such a way that is simple, with that youthful innocence and belief that these things are what they are. And you don't have to have those nagging adult thoughts in the back of your head that maybe this is all bullshit. And
Yeah, I think Father Spyridon had a video on that where he
I'm
said
sure
that exact.
I'm
Yeah.
sure he does. But uh, I was thinking about that yesterday on my like lengthy on this essay I'm working on, and I was like, that's the big deal is that we've been stolen and taken away from innocence. And like all people that are trying to come back to some kind of religion, I mean, there's been three answers that I think are being currently experimented on or trying to find answers to in this current age. And I mean, there's sort of the Nietzschean vitalism sort of grind set people, the neo-pagan, and the return to some more traditional forms of Christianity. And all three are still innately struggling with the question of how to re-enchant the world. And to some extent,
Yeah.
that means, how do I become innocent again? And the reality is that we can't become innocent again, but there
Like the
are
Nietzschean
things.
child, even. Yeah.
And I mean, like this, of course, like as things have been, they will ever be. There is nothing new under the sun, as it is said by in Ecclesiastes, I think 1:9. And the same thing as Nietzsche talks about with the eternal recurrence. But this doesn't mean, like, sure, we may never become innocent again, or maybe not in this life. Maybe, and of course, in the kingdom of heaven, we will be. But in this life, there are ways in which we can be enchanted that allows us to appreciate much larger pictures in front of us.
Hmm.
And I'll hopefully get into that.
Well,
This is just me fleshing out these ideas.
well, in some ways, like the Nietzschean child is in some ways kind of like the inverse of the Christian one. It's funny because that's a lot, like especially in Zarathustra, there's a lot of the inverse of the Christian iconography. But at the same time, like I feel that you mentioned like okay, Nietzsche has this very like hopeful picture of the future that's wedded to the earth, that is sort of like the creation of one's own values. So in a sense, you were like a child discovering the world anew. The Christianity, you were a child before God, the way that a lamb is to a shepherd, um, which is different from the Nietzschean one. But in
Well,
like the
yeah.
lib version of like pure materialist, like the young adult world that we live in, you're a child, but you're not an innocent child. That's like the child is now a vehicle of ideology and propaganda, where it's like the child speaks the ideology of libtardation into the world. Like every popular movie and TV show is like this. Every medical drama is like this. Every young
Yep.
adult novel is like this. The child is not really a child. The child is just a foil
No, no,
for the adult world.
they
Yeah.
take the from the mouths of babes thing and they corrupt
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You know,
Picasso in particular was the first to do this.
This is why every like
Yeah.
show from like House to The Good Doctor, or like the youth is
Or
the one that
Pleasantville, like
or
Pleasantville
Pleasantville,
was
like
the most vicious
the
example.
youth is the one that portrays these like most libtarded worldviews.
Yeah, and no, because it comes from the boomer template of youth culture.
Yeah,
That's where it comes from. It comes from
the
the
invention
child
of the
is always the
teenager,
radical. Yeah, don't
the
trust
rebel
anybody
without a
under
cause.
30. Yeah, don't trust anyone over 30 and like rebel without a cause. Yeah, exactly. And so now you have even like little kids, like in like House did this, current medical dramas do this. It's like the mouth of babes is now the mouth of the adult world. But now the child is not purely innocent anymore. The child is like more quote unquote more adult than the real adults. Like I hate that stupid trope.
Yeah.
Bloom's books do teach about sex, but not in the mechanics of menstruation cycles or pregnancy or anything related to plumbing, which is what sex ed classes have long covered. They instead instruct readers in the correct attitudes to take towards these things, not what a period is, but how to feel about getting one, how to expect other girls to feel about it, not what sexual desire is, but how to express it socially in the form of a crush. Bloom's books did not so much provide girls with new information about their relief or relieve their suffering over it, as they heightened their sense of its importance in their lives, centering them at the sine qua non of coming of age. So this is very like Gen X second wave.
Oh yeah.
Nowadays, this is like trans exclusionary. This is essentialist wrong think nowadays.
This would be turf
This is too
literature.
turfy. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is turflit. Yeah, as with many other young adult.
Turflets.
It's turflit. Yeah, that's what they call it.
Turf.
No, they call it that. They
I
have
know.
a term for it. Turflit. Yeah.
Turflet.
Oh man.
Uh,
As with many young adult novels, Bloom's books transform the facts of life from peripheral eventualities into the defining social dramas of adolescence. Yeah, notice how young adult literature, when you actually examine the stakes are relatively low compared to real life. You ever notice
yeah.
that, Prude? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we live
Always.
in that, right? Yeah, it's true. Bloom's aversion to moralizing on the grounds that children's self-destructive or cruel behavior is intractable and you can only make them aware, reduces coming of age to sequence of mechanical facts, mechanistic facts, a series of social and familial issues to be confronted. You have to confront these issues. You can't hide children from them. That's culture war, sine qua non right there, right?
Culture War 101.
Yeah, you have to confirm. You can't hide them from these facts that they're
You can't
trans
shelter them,
Latinos in
bigot.
Haiti. Do you know that there's trans Latinos in Haiti right now?
Oh, I'm sure that there's trans.
Do you know in Peru there's mixed tech trans marriages? You have to tell kids about this. This is National Geographic. This is a Vice document. This is the Vice documentary. This is like Vice documentaries back
Thanks,
in the day.
Tim.
Remember? Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Gavin. Thank you for doing this to us. No, it wasn't. I shouldn't put in Gavin with that because it was Shane Smith that did all the traveling to like the Peruvian trans people. They would like have the documentary on them. That was Shane Smith. That wasn't Gavin. Gavin was kicked out by then. So
anyway,
this is old head lore. Old head lore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And bodily changes to passively experienced on the inexorable path to reaching the legal age of majority. This is particularly true of her reading of Girlhood, which has been her most influential legacy. Coming of age is not a moral or intellectual transformation, but something that simply befalls you. So there you go, right there. That's the problem. It's no longer this Campbellian rite of passage. It's no longer the Jungian archetypal journey.
There's no more
just something that happens to you. It's evil that happens to you.
There's no more enchantment. We've taken it away from you. It just happens. It's normal. Get used to it. It sucks.
Yeah.
That's all that it is.
No, is the world okay? So the view of life as a journey that has rituals that are defined by your community, your ethnicity, your religion, that guides you into adulthood to being a capable adult, or you party until you're 25 and then it just hits you and it's all over. What's the healthier attitude? We both
know the answer to that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But did you know that there's trans people in Haiti, Prude? You need to know this. Do you know that book, the F Slurology? We need to know this stuff.
Is it bad that I kind of want to review it just so I can tell people on YouTube it's all pederasts?
I hope it's in LibGen. I hope it's on LibGen. It's gotta
be. You know what? I'm doing that right now. But
Z Library. We need to review this.
Library
we need to do this.
I'm just literally looking up that word.
No,
oh my gosh! I can get it right now.
Nice. Send it to me. Coming of age is not moral or intellectual transformation, but something simply falls. No, but this is the problem, because you're setting young people up to fail. We set Zoomers up to fail because, like, look at that. You know what I mean? Like, we're like, did you see that TikTok that went viral? I believe Josh Laquette shared it. No, it was someone else. It was like some BoomerCon, like, N wokeness account where, like, it was the Zoomer girl working at Walmart.
Oh yeah, everyone was talking about that.
Like, I'm not going to counter signal like Zoomers just to say that the economy it's, you know what I mean? Like, she has a point. Like, why would she want to work for nothing for the rest of her life?
Yeah.
It's like, you can be a boomer conservative all you want, but it's the truth. Like, you're setting up young people to fail. You set us millennials up to fail. And so, like, of course people want to be young adults forever. You know what I mean? It's like, and I think, like, as time goes on, you have a lot of people that don't have children. They're gonna have to find some form of communal, like, existence or something. You know what I mean? So there's gonna be, like, I think there's gonna be millennial communes of people that have to live together in the absence of family life when all of our boomer parents finally pillow.
Well, I mean, isn't this just the logical conclusion of all these traditions about, Friendsgiving? We're all gonna just hang out together because we don't have children or families to go to during Thanksgiving. Like, the end result of a disenchanted life is just, I don't know, like a
Thanksgiving,
like which will eventually just turn into a group home of 60-year-old spinsters.
No, it's true. It'll be, this is what I envision. It'll be there's gonna have to be some kind of children of men scenario where, to quote the Hollowed Men, we, grope together for warmth on the edge of the Tumid River. You know what I mean? Because that's, like, really a terrifying thing for us millennials and Zoomers. When our boomer parents slough off, what are we gonna do?
And eventually they will.
Then eventually they will. You know what I mean? And
that'll be that.
Well, Here You Go by Yiz. That's how most of my late 30s and 40s friends are. Almost none of my friends have children or families, so we're our own weird family. No, that's gonna happen. And listen, there may be something beautiful about that, but at the end of the day, you have to realize that that's a crushing tragedy.
It's a crushing reality that
it's a crushing reality. Yeah, 100%.
We did not fulfill. And I hate to be such an essentialist, but, like, we did not fulfill the biological necessity.
We're gonna have to live in fish tank together. That's gonna be.
At that point, made me. At that point, made me.
At that point, made you. Yeah, you're gonna move to Canada just to get mated.
Just to if it's just gonna be like
the world's gonna be engineered by.
How do we all pay rent this, guys? We're all 60-year-olds and we all have, like, bullshit fake email jobs that have been automated by AI. Oh, I guess
do more live streams. Do more live streams.
Hey guys, I'm gonna maid myself live on air. Like,
it's gonna happen. Yeah,
I'm sure it will sooner than either of us want to think about.
Yeah. No, it's gonna. It's like, Jet Neptune is gonna engineer a reality for us. It's gonna work out. Jason Goldstriker is going to administer the retirement home. When you think of it, retirement homes are kind of like communal, like you know what I mean? Like, it is true. Like, nursing homes, they have their own ecosystem. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
I mean, it's sad, but some of them are good. Yeah. That's why, one of the most saddest episodes of The Simpsons was when when Grandpa Simpson had a love interest and then she died in the retirement home. That's like, that was pretty sad. That was when, the writers were half decent anyways. Compare this view of coming of age to the view promulgated by the kind of moralistic girls book like Anne of Green Gables and Little Woman. Oh, listen, this is anti-Canadian discrimination if you're going to bash Anne of Green Gables. This is anti-Canadian discrimination. Anne of Green Gables was great. You know, it was good. If I had a daughter, I'd let
So
her
is
read
Little House on
Anne
the
of Green
Prairie.
Gables. Yeah, well, yeah, but you know, the young adult set itself against. They took growing up to be a process of character formation, which depended on the protagonist's choices, efforts, and how they fared their endeavors, rather than a series of encounters with uncontrollable body and social phenomenon. So you mean to tell me that the older trad literature, like Anne of Green Gables, that actually was a healthier way of setting up children for adulthood than just saying that adulthood happens to them and they should just go with the flow and they should just have as much sex and drugs as possible? Like I don't know, man. Why do we destroy this? You know, I feel like a lot. You know when they say that about these like TikTok, like alternative TikTok people, like these libs that are in like baby daddy dom relationships or whatever. It's like they're basically just re-engineering what marriage used to be about. It's sort of like they're discovering that what they destroyed was preferable to what we have now.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
And here we are.
You mean to tell me that my functioning toy? Oh, sorry, my fez just fell off the rack. You mean to tell me that the functioning toy that I didn't destroy, the functioning toy that I didn't rip apart, that was preferable to having a broken toy? You mean
who would have
I don't know,
guessed?
man.
Who would have guessed?
That's crazy. That's crazy. You mean to tell me that millennials are waking up to the civilization's decades long temper tantrum? That we're finally waking up from it on a collective scale? And we realize that we smashed all of our toys, and then it's not good. I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyways, I remember when I was a little kid, I had this Thomas the Tank Engine set that I destroyed in a fit of rage, and I regretted it. You mean to tell me that I see again? I'm telling on myself. I don't know. No, it's true. It's true. I did destroy it a few times when I was a little kid. You know, I was angry for some reason. It's like, you know, it's like imagine society as me having a temper tantrum when I was 5 years old, destroying all of my Thomas the Tank Engine set. That's what society is, you know. Gio knocked over his Stanley tumbler. Oh my god. Anyways, let's move on. Anne of Green Gables, the formation of the impetus, irreligious, and vain Anne into a capable, self-controlled, accomplished, lovable, and also religious woman. But Anne of Green Gables, that was problematic, though. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I mean, Anne of Green Gables, she was impetuous, irreligious, vain. Then she becomes self-controlled, accomplished, and lovable. That's evil, Prude. That's so evil. That's terrible. Yep. I can't believe we told young girls that they need to be accomplished and prudent and lovable and self-controlled. That was terrible.
Yeah, I know. What a huge mistake.
Yeah, what a huge mistake.
What a huge mistake. We told them that they had to go out into the world and make terrible decisions for themselves. But
yeah,
on one hand, you know what? I will just.
You mean learning from your mistakes? That was bad?
Well, what's that meme? It's like the picture of like the girl in the ICU, and it's like woman almost dies after learning what accountability is.
No, but here's the thing. Like, okay, here's the thing. I mean, inside Gio's mind must look like a firework factory.
And I'm just here to light a match.
Oh my god. No, because here's the thing. Anne of Green Gables was based because, like, there are a lot, like, okay, I don't mean to bash on evangelicals, but like, there is like Christian literature that is unrealistic and like overtly moralistic, and like they give young girls like the impressionable, like teehee, you have to be like an innocent wallflower. Like, that's not realistic. But if you have literature that teaches young girls to be wholesome, but at the same time realistic and accomplished, and like not repressed, but at the same time knows what, you know, being prudent is, and not engaging in destructive behavior, like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, there's a mean in all things. young adult literature that teaches women to be accomplished, but also wholesome, but, realistic about things and to learn from their mistakes rather than being like the extreme of teehee, I'm an innocent girl and I don't know anything and I'm just a trad wallflower. But the other extreme of I'm a total degenerate and that's fine. It's like, can't you have something that is at least in part realistic about things? You know what I mean? Like, it's you don't want to have like an innocent, sheltered, you know what I mean? Like she's just like some stereotype of like Little House on the Prairie, but you don't want to have like what normal, quote unquote, normal young adult literature is.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean? It's like, if you look at the literature that young adult books are pumping out now, it's terrifying. I wouldn't want, if I had a daughter, I wouldn't want her to read that trash, but I don't want her to be sheltered either. It's like, you can't, like, I think we live in such an insane time where that's like transgressive and reactionary, what I just said. You know what I mean? Like, it's incredible.
Yep.
You don't want them to be autistic neets who sit inside the household. Exactly.
You don't want them to be
Exactly.
femcells either.
Yeah, you don't want them to be femcells either. Yeah. So, Anna Green Gables or maybe Jane Austen was a bit too much, but like, maybe, I don't know.
It's
Anyways,
no Ibsen.
yeah, it's no Ibsen. Both characters must fit their desires into a demanding world, and both are asked to sacrifice some of them. Anne gives up her secondary education to stay home and help her adoptive parents. Jo cuts off her prized hair to pay for her mother's visit to her father and put her writing ambitions on hold to nurse her sister. These stories are about what characters do to become adults, not what befalls them. In these older, moralistic books, girls become women. So you mean teaching young girls to sacrifice? That's evil.
Yeah,
I guess that's evil.
teaching young people to love their family, honor thy mother and father, and to care for the ill. That's a
And that
problem.
life hits you with sacrifices.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's evil.
Easy Street doesn't exist.
But that's what I mean about the Mary Sue. You brought up the Mary Sue, right? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Prue. Yeah.
No, that was it. Just Easy Street doesn't exist, and people who act like it does.
Yeah.
Again, that's the perpetual adolescence.
No, but but Prue, that's what I mean. Like, you mentioned the Mary Sue character, right? Like, nowadays, teaching that you have to overcome and struggle and that there's sacrifice in life. What is the Mary Sue? The Mary Sue is the absence of struggle and self-realization. Yeah. The Mary Sue just exists in perfection. So it's like there's no longer that recognition of the realities of putting yourself aside for the greater good of your family, or the fact that life hits you with problems that you have to deal with and you have to sacrifice for. Yep. The Mary Sue has none of that. Even like, what's her name in Star Wars, Rey?
Yeah.
Like, what does she have to overcome? Nothing. It's like, what's funny? Anime even like spoofed this with like One Punch Man, where it's like this like postmodern recognition of the fact that if you have a character that has no struggle whatsoever, but you know what I mean? Like, it's a more like that's like an intellectual approach. But when you have the whole body of literature that young people are consuming to where there is no struggle, but the only struggle is that life happens, that you have to be like, this like little version of an adult where you like, have lots of sex and take lots of things and do all the things, and that there's no struggle involved. Like what does that teach young people? It sets them up for failure. Like, really, we set multiple and we're products of this as millennials.
Yep.
They set multiple generations up for failure. And like, look what's happened. It's like we live in a world where growing up is a terror, having children is a terrible tragedy, body horror that you must overcome at all costs. And the economic future of society is totally in the tank. It's getting worse. And you're preached all this like this left-wing nonsense that really is just a mask for what the world is actually like. And then of course people are going to dwell in their own identity issues, because when they look to the outside, there's no political agency, There's no cultural agency even. The only agency you really have is that over your own body.
Yep.
And of course, people are going to have this neurosis
And of
about
course,
it.
people are going to, and if
I
it's the only
just
thing
gave
you
away half
have,
of my book, but anyways,
but I mean, if the only
yeah.
thing that you have is agency over your own body, and you've been disenchanted and to some extent corrupted,
Yeah,
well,
you don't
then
even
what are you
have
going to do with?
agency over
Then
that
what are you going
now.
to do? What are you going to do with that body? You're going
Yeah,
to give it away. You're going to be a
exactly.
whore. And this goes to men and women, by the way. This isn't just
Yeah.
me doing the
No, but you don't even have agency over your own body nowadays because look at all
no,
the
because you're a
yeah,
product of the social culture that decided to take away your innocence.
in the environmental chemical culture as well. That
And so the answer to all of this, of course, is millstones.
oh, of course.
Of course, I'm a millstone
No, but
futurist.
even the stuff they put in the food and water, I think that's
Oh
a
yeah,
genetic assault on most people. That's a
that's
very
that that
physical
that's your
problem.
that's your cellular Hiroshima right there, as
Yeah,
Virilio
it's a
would call
genetic
it.
Hiroshima. Yeah.
Yeah,
So maybe you can understand the South Korean femcel radical feminists. You can
perhaps I
understand why
would
they don't
like.
have
Not gonna
children.
lie though, I know that my audience would hate it. I would love to interview someone about that issue, like someone from Korea. Be like, so what actually is going on?
Yeah, me too. I know me and Default interviewed a femcel recently.
But it's not like a Korean thing,
No, we need a
like, I
Korean one.
I want
Yeah.
I want to understand that whole situation, just out of my own morbid curiosity. Like, I know my own country's messed up, but you guys,
Whoa.
what happened, Like, and even if they're, like, a spiteful, angry little woman, I still wanna hear what they have to say.
Yeah, me too. I'm not like totally closed off to this.
Yeah, I mean, I would love that opportunity, I'm not gonna lie.
I would
Um,
love if one of them were to be if one of those Korean like rad femmes, if they have like a Western education, if they were to write like sort of like a feminist report on it, I think that would also be like
I'd
meaningful
read it.
to read.
I'd read it.
I wonder if there probably is some like millennial Korean women that probably have written think pieces on it, on like
Oh,
why they
most
are.
most
Yeah,
assuredly.
yeah.
Most
I gotta.
assuredly.
I should text Default. She probably knows someone that probably knows someone who's read this type
Who
of
knows
stuff.
someone who knows someone, yeah.
Yeah, probably. I wonder. We'll see what happens. Because it is a genuinely fascinating gender war that's going on there between incels and femcells. It's maybe they just have to have a moment, like the stereotypical like Hollywood where it's like, the
Maybe
man
we
and
need to
woman hate
put
each
something in
other,
their maybe we just
then
need
they
to put
fall in
something in
love,
their
they start madly kissing, they're like, I hate you, mwah, mwah. It's like
yeah, the usual,
yeah.
like, it's like, "Are you as turned on as I am? Yes, like, that would be it.
Yeah, like imagine if like Annie Slats went out with never mind.
I
No, you
take
need like a
I take
rad
it
fem.
she's
You need like
not
rad
married.
fem, like RFH.
I was about to say, I
Well,
take it
I don't
she's
know. She
not
has a
married.
boyfriend, but no, you need like a total like anti-man. Like there's this one account that's like really crazy on Twitter that believes in like men going extinct, like femcells running camps.
Yeah.
It's like imagine if she dated like I don't know, Med Gold or somebody like that. I don't
It might be
know.
a match made in heaven.
Match made in heaven. Yeah, imagine the bedroom activity that goes on between them.
I don't want to think about that, Gio.
Yeah.
I'll let
Imagine if Red Hawk dated a rad femme.
sometimes there are thoughts that can stay in your head.
No, imagine if like Red Hawk went out with like a rad femme that like believes in male extinction. This needs to happen. Okay, I should read on because when Prue goes silent, he knows I went too far. I crossed the line. When Prue goes silent. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
just a bit. Did people send you money, Gio?
yeah. But let's go to. Should we skip to the end though?
Just get to the last paragraph.
The last paragraph is the best. Okay, so the higher revolutionary theories of Beauvoir and Firestone were playing on the wishful voices of perpetual adolescence, the voice of women scattered by resentment, failure of their childhood expectations and misappropriations. No, here's the thing, because I think young adult literature, if you wanted to go from a radfem perspective, it is also a failure of radical feminism as well, in the sense of that you're not really creating like fully embodied women. You're creating like mutilated half women
Yes.
that are perpetually stuck. So from a radical feminist perspective, you could probably critique young adult literature for not really creating fully embodied subjects of women. Like women are not fully embodied subjects. They're in this dreamland. You know what I mean? So consumed by the astral discontent with actual lives, actual men, the denial of real ambiguities and the real generative or malignant possibilities of adult sexual life. These women devoted themselves to vindicating those early expectations by trying to throw off responsibilities and dignity of adulthood. See, that's what I mean. If you're a rad femme, you don't want women to be sheltered from those. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to have this like dreamland of young adult literature, because then you create Disney adults. I'm sorry, but I don't think that Simone de Beauvoir wanted Disney women. You know what I mean? I don't think that was
Oh
her
yeah,
goal.
she did not want
Yeah,
anyone whose whole idea of life was
yeah.
having a
Pleasure and
ritualistic,
consumption.
orgiastic experience going to Disney World
Yeah,
as a 33-year-old woman who loves the idols of her childhood because that's the only semblance of
exactly.
innocence that she still had before being told to grow up and be a woman.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want femoids to be women at all. They want them to be sex homosexual women. No, it's it. I mean, there's
Yeah, I
a
mean, like, just
radical feminist critique
spiritually,
of that.
like,
Yes. Yeah.
homosexuals. That's it.
No, but yeah, that's what I mean. Like even Basil talks about this, right? Like why do these like like lib women, why do they love gay men so much? Or now they hate gay men because gay men are, well,
My
anyways.
gaze, you've ruined me. That's still one of the most honest gay films ever made.
Yeah, that
Two
was
gay men
great.
just to say the obvious.
Gio doesn't get the rad femmes or any feminists actually want what's good for women, kind of like how US claims to want the best for democracy. Yeah, that is true. That is true. I'm giving rad femmes too much credit here, I think. But
Just a little bit, but I mean,
was
no.
Simone de Beauvoir a Marxist? Was she a Marxist?
Even if she wasn't on paper, she was in spirit.
I think she liked Mao. Like every French intellectual at the time liked Mao. So, you know,
Golly, what an ugly woman.
Mao hated Mao wanted to G-word-eyed Italians. So, why are Italians so important? Doesn't that smack of like Bugman resentment? Like, yes, Italians were incredibly culturally important. I'm sorry, Chairman Mao. I'm sorry. But yeah, Philip Daniel, he
But
replied to my tweet about it.
yeah, I mean,
Italians were incredibly important,
she was a Marxist,
Yeah, she was American, of course.
and of course, was a abuser of young women.
Well, I mean, she fed young women to Sartre, so
Well,
people don't talk about that.
she
People
also
don't talk about
diddled
that.
them herself.
Yeah. Oh, I heard about
I
that.
love how you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
quiet as soon as I mention some like postmodernist hero, or they're like, "Oh yeah, she was a terrible like pederast or whatever," and you're like, "Yeah." Get real quiet.
You mean to tell me that Simone de Beauvoir was predatory towards young women?
Yeah, who would have guessed, right?
Oh my god.
Wait, you didn't know this?
I heard about the Sartre thing, but I know she herself like preyed upon young women,
Yeah, she was a
impressionable young
known
women.
bisexual and abused young women.
I think there was also where she would like do it for like these young girls. She would like promise them academic things, and very disgusting type of stuff where you're like promising young girls, if you like, if you do the deed, then you could like get ahead in your career at the Collège de France. I think it was something like that too.
Mm.
Listen, you can separate the art or the literature from the artist, but that is, ugh, that's terrible.
Oh, you got the ick there, buddy.
Yeah. Starring with Crank in 24, novel about LSD. Yeah, Crank was actually a good film.
I haven't seen it.
It was a good one. But let's go to the end because we're getting late here. Where is it? Here we go. The older books depicted girlhood as a preparation for a future where happiness demands sacrifice and the suppression of unbecoming qualities that may very well be who we are as adolescents, but will not suffice for who we aspire to be in adulthood. Yeah, that's like Jane Austen. In these books, as in life, coming of age requires agency, a conscious and concerted for me. And this is why I wanted to read this Point magazine article, even though the Point is like a literary critic magazine. This is a great point right here. In these books, as in life, coming of age requires agency, a conscious and concerted formation towards an ideal of who one hopes to be. When adulthood is no longer a moral achievement, but a hormonal eventuality, there is nothing to aspire to or to prepare for. No higher education, no vocation, no marriage or motherhood, except as undesired mistakes. Despite their ignorance of second wave feminism, Louisa May Alcott and Elle Montgomery's protagonists become, even in adolescence, significantly more intellectually and even professionally accomplished than Bloom's. I would say, what's her name that wrote Gathering Blue? Lois Lowry. Lois Lowry is really
Yep.
good too. Yeah, Lois Lowry. It would be unrealistic to deny the existence of young readers who wish for books to play back and amplify their struggles and anxieties, to wrap them in a hug of affirmation for who they are right now, rather than trouble them with the risks and possibilities of who they might one day become. It would be likewise unrealistic to deny the middle-aged women might wistfully recall their own experiences as such readers. As Bloom has admitted, the Margaret movie is not for children so much as it is for the nostalgic audience. And there you go. That's literature nowadays. That's kids movies, kids books, kids TVs. It's not for kids. It's for the nostalgic, terminally aging millennial writer and audience. It's not for kids. They're parents who grew up with the book. But what would be most unrealistic of all would be to believe that such books speak to the deepest or most universal desires of girlhood. In its quest for realism, young adult has lost sight of the fact that young girls possess equally real aspirations for intellectual and ethical self-development that can't be satisfied or replaced by literary sex ed. An adolescence that's never even threatens to issue in adulthood is a distortion of experience, not its honest rendering. When there is no threat of a maturity, when there is no adulthood that is something to aspire to, you have broken husks of people. You have man children and women children. It's literally a demonic robbing of the possibility of an adulthood. It's terrible. It's evil. And that's all that literature is for young people nowadays. It's not for them. It's for the aging millennial writer that's writing this trash. That's what it's for. Final thoughts, Prude?
The young adult genre, the invention of the teenager to disenchant what you are feeling and just say, oh, it's normal. There are no
Yeah, it's normal.
expectations for when you get older. Adulting
Life
is just
sucking, life
Oh, it
being
was I saw this
yeah,
I
it's
saw this
normal.
tweet not too long ago, and I don't know who it was. It was some leftist, like, Antifa trash. But they had said that there is no such thing as adulthood, it's just teenagers with sagging skin.
Right for the wrong reasons. Right for the wrong reasons.
Well, there are
Yeah.
adults in this world. There
Well,
aren't
yeah, there is.
and that's the thing is that it is denying a category of who you are. Like, I'm sorry, the person tweeting this is like a 32-year-old, like, angry woman. You're not a teenager, and that you may have the maturity of one,
Yeah.
you may have the constitution of one, but you're an adult. You
Yeah.
are an adult. There are adults
Act
out
like
there.
one.
Act like one. And unfortunately, we have created a whole genre, a whole academic complex, a whole prison-esque school system that encourages you to never grow up. And I mean, to some
Yeah.
extent, yeah. And like, and of course, the mediums that we live on, like, I mean, social media encourages the most impulsive, base, childish instincts, for likes and retweets. It encourages the most low IQ, impulsive behavior imaginable. And what is that
Yeah.
kind of behavior? Well, it's teenage, immature, grab ass behavior. So yeah,
Y-
it's in literature. It's in our movies. Be the Katniss Everdeen. Be the Zoe Deschanel from 500 Days of Summer. And the
Oh
same goes for
God.
boys. The same goes for boys.
But yeah, be
You
Andrew
know,
forever.
be Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, Thomas, right?
Yeah.
From 500 Days of Summer. Never grow up, never
Be her.
mature.
Be like the guy in her.
Be like the guy in her. Fall in
Joaquin
love with
Phoenix's
your AI
character.
girlfriend. Although I have a
Yeah.
review of that coming soon. And so all of these things just are a way to tell you it's okay to be 40 and to never grow up and to relive that teenage fantasy of
Yeah.
young love or to be hurt again or to be the awkward teenager. And for some people, I think maybe that's a big reason why, like, not just pornography, but also, like, why do people tune out? Well, I
Yeah.
get to experience, like, the
What happened to New Atheists?
eternal spring for them.
I'm sorry, but there are certain e-girls where they're parading themselves for like
you're 35.
17-year-old
Please stop.
men, you're pushing 40. Stop. You know what's funny? Because there could be e-girls that are 30, whatever, 40. They could set an example for younger women to like respect themselves, to be
Some
productive.
are. Some are.
Yeah, some are. Some are. Yeah, but like there are other ones that don't. It's like when I said this under a lo-fi Republican tweet about Madonna. No, it was under Loma's tweet about that Madonna video
Yeah.
where she's holding onto the rail, the geriatric rail.
She's
It's
like,
like
what? How old is Madonna? She's gotta
60
be like
something.
Madonna. She is 65. She literally
Whoa.
qualifies for AARP and Social Security.
Yeah.
Retire.
No, but like my point being is that if she like didn't do the plastic surgery, if she calmed down, if she changed her routine, she could have been a amazing example for older women to age gracefully, to become like a bit more like her stage set could be less dancing, could be more like regal, and she could have been like, who's that singer?
But no, it's not like
You don't
that.
hear about her anymore. She used to be fat. What's her name?
Do you mean
The British one.
I know which one you're referring to. Her name escapes me.
Yeah, but she could be something like that. She could have been like, she could have really paved the way for older women to age gracefully and have respect for themselves, and to not really do this terrible display of trying to be young forever. You know
Adele.
what I mean? Like
Adele is who you're thinking of.
Adele, yeah.
And
Like,
Adele's in her late 30s, and every song's about heartbreak.
Yeah,
It's also like Taylor.
that's a
It's
bad
also like Taylor
example too.
Swift.
Yeah, like Taylor Swift. Yeah, it's a bad
Like
example.
you're in your 30s, but every song is about how some guy fucked you over, and it's like, I don't know. At a certain point, I got to think that you're the problem.
Well, maybe the quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, he could trad wife Swift.
Travis Kelce's not the quarterback, but yeah.
No, he's not the quarterback. I thought he was the
No,
quarterback.
no. The quarterback is Mahomes.
Oh, I don't watch football.
Good.
You know what's funny is that they focus more on Taylor Swift going to games than the actual game.
They do. Man, talk about a cult of personality. But let's get to those super chats. Gio,
Yeah.
I gotta get ready soon.
Hockey had that back when was it Cairns, or he used to, I forget which player for the New York Islanders, he dated like some celebrity, and he, I think Ty Domi tuned him up a few times, if I recall, back in the day. Anyways, I actually watched a bit of football recently at my cousin's house. It was all right. Like
Gio, let's not turn this into a 4-hour stream.
You're right. I'm sorry, Prude. So I do have my PayPal, and maybe not tomorrow, but Saturday I'll probably come out with a solo content minded. So please go to my Patreon. I released an excerpt of my book. It's on Keith Haring. It's from the Humans of Flat Design chapter. So it's only a draft. There's some things I have to change, but hopefully you all like it. So go to Patreon and Substack. And of course, Prude, all of his Subscribe Star and his Substack is linked below. He's got his Find My Friends. I have a Find My Friends too. I have to, so hopefully tomorrow or Saturday.
If you need to update it, just talk to Charlie.
Yeah. Because I have the Computer Room playlist. I have the Digital Archipelago playlist. So I'll talk to Charlie about it. So yeah. I don't see any PayPals. So we'll get to the super chats.
Let's go.
Give
Gio money.
Give me your money or a manual typer. I really do appreciate if you were to subscribe to Patreon, because it's only $5 a month, and also $20 and $50 you get some good stuff like my artwork, which I have to actually print out some more stuff. I've been neglecting it, like a lot of things, 2023. But hopefully, in terms of content, when I go to the editing process of my book, I'll up the content. So yeah, I have to start interviewing people again too. But I kind of like the solo shows though. I like people like them. And yeah. Anyways, for $4.99 by Gabe Underground, I am a pay pig of the morning. You are the first pay pig of the morning. Thank you, Gabe Underground. That's amazing. $4.99. Come to the Talmudic tunnels. Stay for the Prude Tech. Support Asmer.
See, when you say it like Asmer, it sounds even more weird than ASMR.
ASMR, yeah.
Because like I'm sure it stands for something. I just don't know what it actually stands for.
Nobody says asthma.
Autonomous sensory meridian response, a term to use to describe a tingling, static-like or goosebump sensation response to triggering audio or visual stimuli. Creepy.
Can you hear that, guys?
Remember, kids, it's $4.99 a minute. Go, go, go.
Go, go. For $9.99, buy NATO tomato. Stock up on Cento tomatoes in 2024. Yes, you have to. I grow my own tomatoes, but
Yeah, same actually.
Oh, nice. And for Mike of Polar, good friend, for $20. What's excited for how cool the timeline will be tomorrow when Lil Nas drops his music video mocking Christ? Oh, did you see that, Prude?
Yeah, I
Where
saw
Christ
it.
turns into a transformer.
I saw that. I don't.
I just saw that clip. I didn't really see any of it.
I don't have anything nice to say about it, and but
I remember on
God will not be mocked, and the wicked are punished. So I guess Little Nas X will probably get like an AIDS diagnosis soon or something.
I remember on Follow the Rules, we tried to like review that first Little Nas music video, and it was just like 20 minutes of it. But then like me and Bennett got distracted with something else, and so anyways,
good.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of debates, so it's funny because a follower of ours, he said that he goes, you make fun of that debate that's happening in February between Banania and Curtis. He's like, but you and Prude are gonna have 30 minutes of content from it at least. I go, oh, man,
I'm not going to talk about it, and just because that guy said it, I'm not talking about it. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to review it. I don't want to give it any attention. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not. I made my little Norm Macdonald. I made my little Norm Macdonald tweet. I'm not interested.
Yeah. No, in February I'll probably mention it on the show, and you'll just go silent. It's like, no, Gio, no. It's like,
I mean,
you're right. I'm not going to give it air. I'm like, what? Like, what are they going to debate about? Democracy or what?
Democracy versus monarchy.
Oh my God! Thank you for this riveting break the rules debate right there. Anyways,
yeah, thank you.
I don't listen. How many cash shade because it's sponsored by Passage Prize. I'm not going to cash shade, but like,
I'm just not my cup of tea.
You know who's the moderator?
Anna Kachayan.
Listen, I don't mean to cash shade an Anna or Passage Prize, but I mean, it's cool. It's going to be cool. We all know what Hanani is going to say. We all know what Curtis is going to say.
You're going to get a Fukuyama style, like slightly tasteful racist defense of democracy, and you're going to get a bunch of ums and the classic hits of Curtis Yarvin.
James Burnham said that
Mr. Hanani, have you ever seen Hitler Lives? Like, I'm not. There's your 30 seconds of content. I'm out.
Have you ever watched this VeggieTales? I've been getting to VeggieTales recently because of my kid.
I would be terrified if he's forcing his kids to watch VeggieTales.
Curtis,
that's not very dark elf behavior, Mr. Yarvin.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not like listening to Baby Mozart or whatever. Yiz the Eunuch, our good friend, for $5. Wish you'll stream this time every week. Listen to live is weird but fun. Yeah, thank you, Yizzy. Yeah, it's very nice.
It is weird.
It is weird. And for $10 by Jack, I also didn't have the same feeling for Xmas this year. There was an absence of the smell in the air that I usually smell. It's over, bros. Just kidding, but yeah, it was. Well, I actually had a very good Christmas for the first time in years, so But I understand. Like, I noticed that like people as a whole, the sort of enchantment towards Christmas, it is lowering, it is lessening, which is unfortunate. But
like I guess, and this for me, it was just interesting that like the world around me was particularly devoid of what I guess you would call the seasonal Christmas cheer. But like,
yeah,
for me, it was also like, oh God, please let Christmas Day come here. I miss. Give me a fat steak, because I mean, for us, it was like 40 days of fasting. It was the nativity fast for us in the church. So it was just like, that was nice, like I baked a bunch of cheesecakes for Christmas Day for family as well as for church. And like, I realized that, my re-entrenchment to enchantment was in religion. And, I guess that was just sort of my escape from like a very drab and dull secular world Christmas where people were just buying their shit and acting like everything was fine. When I think in the back of everyone's mind, everyone knows that things have gone terribly wrong. And here we are.
Yep, that is true. Anyways, for $4.99 by John Carter, our good friend. If grippers are virgins, that's more than can be said for Gavin Stewart.
I don't want to know what's
Gavin's
going
done a
on
lot
in
of
that rear
sussy
end.
baka things on air over the years.
Isn't it strange that there's so much like performative that's not really performative? It's just authentic homosexuality on sort of these people. I think it does come with like the theater kid problem. Like most theater kids have a tendency to be gay. Most theater kids have a tendency to be like narcissistic, performative a-holes.
Melodramatic, histrionic.
Yeah, and so what does that mean? Well, it means you get some like really weird, like questionably gay stuff happening in these sort of like
Gavin did
alt-right
invent the
places.
hipster. So,
I
people don't realize that Gavin invented the 2000s millennial hipster.
I guess he's gay.
Well, it's funny. I remember he tried to like get at Shane Smith once. He's like, yeah, me and Shane used to have three-ways all the time together with chicks. And it's like, why would you admit that in public? I don't know. Like it's a very like Gen X, like I drink, I do the occasional line, I have three-ways. It's a very Gen X like Arrested Development thing,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But anyways, $10 Canadian by Sam153, our good friend Sneed. No one showed up to Haley's campaign rally in Iowa. They're going to have to pay a lot of actors to clap for her if she's nominated. You know what Haley needs to do in Iowa? She has to. No, Vivek. You could picture him doing this. Where he's like, I love Iowa. I listen to Slipknot. You know the album Iowa? When I was in college, when I was making my first
he could just
million,
perform that like the song.
Yeah, he could perform Disaster Piece. That's a great. Yeah, he could perform.
She just needs to pay a bunch of
Duality.
Indians
Imagine Vivek performing Duality. He's like, eyes are the only thing that. Imagine he'll come out to the song Duality during his Iowa campaign.
Lord have mercy.
What were we gonna say? Nobody showed up for Nikki Haley's rally in Iowa.
I believe there was some weather issues. I don't know, but like neither here nor there. It's just a crapshoot. So
remember the Jeb Bush "Please Clap"? It was like 10 people.
I don't know. That was authentic, though.
That was authentic. I feel bad for Jeb Bush.
I don't, but so be it.
He seems like a nice enough guy. Like compared to the other Bushes,
it's over. The Bushes are gone.
Why didn't Jeb Bush run? Did Trump just humiliate him so much that he'll never run again?
I wouldn't. Like, damn. I just got like beat by low energy Jeb. No, I would never want to show my face in public again.
I have a theory that if Jeb were to run against these clowns and if they barred Trump from running, then Jeb probably could win against Nikki Haley. It's not saying much, but
What does it matter at this?
But you have to have dark Jeb. Jeb has to come on stage. He's got to like just cut loose and be like, you know what? I ran Florida with an iron fist, but DeSantis turned it into a pile of shit. It's like Jeb Bush could just like come out and just like totally destroy DeSantis. It's like you people used to worship my family like a king. It's my brother, he was a degenerate cokehead, but you know what? My brother
kept this country safe. It doesn't matter.
My brother made you guys millions upon millions of dollars, and this is what you repay me with? You can't do me the deed, Republican Party. It's like Jeb Bush just exposes the Republican Party.
Yeah, that won't ever happen.
That'll never happen.
Dark Jeb. I do want to know
this right now. Dark Jeb.
I do like the drugs you're taking, though, Gio. I love this energy.
Yeah, it's really the Nicorette. Imagine Dark Jeb. That'd be amazing. Anyways, $4.99 by our good friend Gabe Underground. Once again, Gabe Underground. There's hope for RPG playing sensitive men. If the Aspies from the No Mutants Allowed form are breeding, some of my first reptiles were...
Well, they're not pregnant yet, but yes, they are married. I sang at their wedding. It was nice. It was a lovely church wedding.
Can you imagine that? Imagine the kids. Imagine the weaponized autism of their kid. Their kids will be the Nietzschean
I have
children.
so much hope for their future children.
That reminds me of that weird couple.
I should go back to the Fallout forums.
No, tell your friends that Gio said that. I hope your kids become the Nietzschean children of the Overman. The coming Overman will be bred by two tabletop two Fallout players in the forums.
You know, they do watch this.
Oh man,
they're gonna hear this. I'm gonna get a fun conversation this weekend about this. They're gonna be like, Matt,
their children would be the Nietzschean over people.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, Matt, what the fuck?
Oh my god. Anyways, our good friend Scribe8762 for $5. These Agenda 25 FEMA boxes are perfectly shaped for by POC positive allies. They're 20-foot shipping. Oh man, when I'm all zined up, I do come up with some bangers. I gotta admit on the show. Oh man, that's crazy. That's a good take.
That was funny.
And for 1-9 by our good friend Joshua Bibby, do you guys believe Obama was legit elected? Okay, so
the margin of victory was so overwhelming. If there was funny business going on, it doesn't matter. 2012, however, is
there was funny business in 2012.
There was funny business in Ohio in 2012, but
with the dead people voting
in 2008, that majority vote was so overwhelming.
It was overwhelming because it was a cultural shift in America that Obama embodied. That people were so fed up of the Bush years that they wanted somebody. They wanted somebody that was radically different by all costs, no matter what. But it's unfortunate that Obama was really the continuation of Bush in some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, no, 2008 totally legit. No, unironically, 100%. 2008 was legitimate. No irony. Because people, you gotta realize, 2008, people worshipped Obama like he was the third coming. You know what I mean? Like people, like, I remember.
There was, like, some really fucked up messianic ideas when it came to Obama at that time.
Oh, that first rally, the swearing in on the Potomac, that was a religious moment in America right there. That was 2012, not so much. Even black people in America in 2012, they weren't as stoked on Obama during 2012. In some ways, I know that this was a talking point by libs, but in some ways, Obama was handed a raw deal with the economic crisis. But by 2012, that excuse, it was sort of like Trudeau when he the second time he got a minority government. It was sort of like him trying to blame Stephen Harper for everything. It was like, it's not going to work anymore. Even libs could see that it wasn't Stephen Harper by the time you get to like 2015. It wasn't Stephen Harper. You know what I mean? So 2016, 17. I forget when he was elected the second time. Anyways, but 2012, there was way less enthusiasm for Obama. But nobody was going to vote for Romney anyways, so...
Yep.
Who the fuck was going to vote for Romney? I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Romney is just... I have such a hatred for Romney. It's incredible. It's like... That guy is such a snake. But anyways, when we get closer to the election, we're going to talk more about
Oh my god, 29 super chats. Gio, read through these. I got places to be, man.
All right. If you have to log off, it's all right. $5. Some money so Zombie Kissingers and Agent Orange me.
I'm sorry, Mr. Morton. I'm afraid that I've already deployed the defoliant projectors to your home.
Oh my god.
It's over.
Super chats. Oh my
if you have children, they're going to be really fucked up. I don't apologize at all for
we're gonna make your children into real mutants, not just spiteful mutants.
If you thought libtards were spiteful mutants, wait until you have little Agent Orange children. They're going to look like Vietnamese zombies. It's over for you.
The Chuds are gonna have Vietnamese Agent Orange children. Anyways, Inquisitor Z for $5. Apparently, migrants were used to dig the tunnel. Beside that, Gio being a fan of early 2000s metal, what is your thoughts on Avenged Sevenfold? I actually saw Avenged Sevenfold. It was all right. I mean, I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to them, but some songs are bangers. But I remember I saw them on the Rockstar Energy tour with Disturbed and Stone Sour and not Mudvayne, Hell Yeah. But I didn't see Stone Sour. I saw Hell Yeah instead because they were on the other stage. But it was pretty good. It was Avenged Sevenfold and Disturbed. It was pretty good. And Timothus89 for $20. Off topic, why do leftists hate self-defense? Love the show and God bless all friends. Thank you, Timothus. They don't hate self-defense anymore. They're John Brown gun clubs.
Self-defense in like the name of punching the fash is fine, but you have to understand that when
not for Rittenhouse. Do you see that Rittenhouse tweet? The
whole training thing, and everyone was making fat jokes, but like I can't help but laugh at this because they don't hate self-defense. I mean, self-defense in the name of democracy, self-defense. They always want to offsource that self-defense. They never be the one to do it themselves. And heaven forbid you defend yourself against a minority, then it's game over. Remember, you're worth less than some criminal that happens to have a different skin color than you. Like that's really it.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like they can never find good examples. Like even recently, that guy that pounced on the judge. Like
like he's a hero in their eyes, despite being probably a scumbag criminal,
domestic abuser.
Oh, sorry. And somehow I'm supposed to like pay for him to make him a hero? No. Screw you.
I'm sorry, Jake Shields. Jake Shields was a great MMA fighter, but other than that,
it was Cole.
It was Cole, yeah. And from a Radfem perspective, also, like a lot of these public BIPOC heroes, a lot of them wasn't George Floyd a domestic abuser too?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Vex Peril says it perfectly in chat. Self-defense is a far right idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You really value your property over some BIPOC life? Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I do.
Especially if you violate my property.
If you break into my house, I'm sorry, man. It's not.
Sorry, man. It's game over.
Isn't that like violating the dignity of persons too? Don't they think about that? Like just breaking into somebody's house? Like it's. Well, anyways, never mind.
That's why I feel so bad about those like Brits that are getting harassed by like a black teenager.
Yeah. No, but as long as Chuds get harassed, not them. They're fine.
As long as it's people that look like me or you, Gio, like that's fine.
Yeah. Anyways,
yes, I do, Jordan Peterson.
For $5 by Micah Paul Prude. If I was black, I'd be like, what the hell, man? Clifton 40K.
That could be used in so many different contexts. I was referring, of course, to the Hollywood turning all the black men like into like these twinks. But I mean, if I were black, I'd also be asking, "What the hell, man?" Because I wouldn't want to be black. But
no. One of the best quotes from Boys in the Hood was when the mother of Cuba Gooding Jr. when he was a boy, she dropped him off to Lawrence Fishburne's character, and she said, "I can't teach him to be a man. You can teach him that." That was like, unironically, if you're a black kid, if you're
happened to you.
There's probably some black people watching us. So if you have children, I would highly recommend Boys in the Hood. That's actually a good movie for a black.
I cannot wait for like the one black audience member to be like, that's actually a really bad take, and here's why.
No, okay, it may be subversive in other ways, but that one part about like black masculinity and like having a father figure that saved him from the cycle of gang violence, like that was a great, that was
yeah.
For $10, why I'm just asking questions. F it, I've lurked long enough to take my money. Gio, also I'm looking forward to your book, so keep it, my guy. Thank you. I'm trying really hard on to work to work. Hopefully by the spring, by maybe June, July, even. Like I'm trying, man. Editing is really bad for me. I have to send it off to someone to get edited too. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, for NT $75 by Bosco Chow. What is that? New Zealand or what is that?
We'll find out real quick.
First super chat, I can't usually catch
new Taiwan dollar.
Whoa!
We have a Taiwanese listener. Well done.
Taiwanese listener. First super chat, I can't usually catch the podcast due to Taiwan TZ time zone. Listening from Taiwan. May the Lord's peace be may the Lord's peace be with us always. Yes, exactly. And maybe peace and the Lord be with you, my friend. Things are gonna get scary. Unfortunately, with Taiwan soon, I feel so. Yeah, you never know. Probably nothing happening, but I know Xi Jinping says in his lifetime he wants to take Taiwan. So, anyways,
if he does it, it'll be done more. I think it'll happen more democratically than it will by force.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think a shot will be fired. But anyways, our good friend Lou Templar for $5. Progressive women have always had a bizarre obsession with blood, abortion, menstruation, even nosebleeds. They treat it as some divine substance. Well, in the art world, like if you look at artists that I do even respect, like Kiki Smith, there is that obsession. But that's a much older, like that's like second wave or radical feminist type stuff. It's funny because the newer feminists, the Gen Z feminists, they avoid a bodily function like the plague for some reason. It's a weird opposition to this older feminist model, from what I've observed. I could be wrong, but what do you think about that, Prude?
They certainly, I do agree with that. They certainly do view it like
it's terrible.
like it's a divine factor. Yeah.
Yeah. And for $2 by Jack, did you guys see Tucker wearing Kabbalah Breeze? Was that confirmed?
Hey, Black Pilled, how are you? I don't know.
Is that actually Black Pilled?
Well, he was the one who was talking about it. I saw.
Oh. Well, I mean, no comment.
Anyways,
I like Tucker, but Tucker is kind of fumbling it with the topics he's got.
Yes.
Kind of not. Yeah. It's cool. I hate to say it. I mean, the Abad Aquila was interesting, but he could be doing so much more, man. He could be interviewing Anons. He could be talking about. He could be monologuing again. Just, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Anyways, what's funny is that they Tucker got rid of that one guy that was accused of racism. That Blake
Greg
guy.
Reed.
Blake, what's his name?
Oh, I don't. Well, there's the Blake writer. There's another one that got a hit piece written about him before.
Well, he's working for Charlie Kirk now.
Yeah, so things are moving okay.
It's funny how Charlie Kirk is espousing more race realism than Tucker Carlson. That's incredible.
Maybe I should listen more Charlie Kirk than Tucker Carlson then. But
what a world we live in.
Yeah, what a world. Anyways,
for $5 by Lou Templar again. Did you guys catch Christie's hot mic saying DeSantis is quitting at the end of the month? Yeah, we
saw that.
Yeah. It's probably true.
Probably.
And I'm skipping the Patrick's for the end.
Okay.
So, and subject change for $4.99. Send you Entropy Live. You've been saying you would for the past few years. I know, but I have to be walked through this. I'm a boomer when it comes to technology. So, anyways,
I will walk him through it when I get back from my interviews.
Yeah. And so $2 by good friend Yiz the Eunuch. If one of maybe it's you.
That's right, honey. Maybe it's your problem.
Yiz, what are you doing to us? Anyways, hello for a sticker for 99 cents, a super sticker. Thank you, hello. And Brent for $5 is the Big Les show on YouTube, a masterpiece of the medium. 100% Microsoft point with beautiful animation. I've never seen the Big Les show. Is it good?
Neither have I.
I gotta see it. I think someone was talking about Dirty Harry. So for £5,
an Australian cartoon about Sasquatches, humans, and aliens. 1.7 million subscribers. Jeez.
Whoa! I gotta watch it. It's on YouTube. So
yeah, the whole thing. Enjoy.
I gotta rate it. I actually watched Hell of a Boss. It was all right. It was it's
shocking.
It's typical MB kid type of animation style, but it was all right. It was
fishy. I love Clint Eastwood.
Saw it's Dirty Harry. What a film. It's fascist. That's a good thing. Any thoughts on Clint Eastwood, actor, director? I like Clint Eastwood. I think that $1 Million Baby even was sort of, I don't know. But Clint Eastwood definitely, when he wants to be dramatic and meaningful, it comes off as pretty good. But of course, when I was a kid, I probably watched Good, Bad, Ugly 100 times. I
love the Fistful of Dollars trilogy.
Good, Bad,
Ugly is great.
I liked it when him and Angel Eyes teamed up in Fistful of Dollars.
It's great. Good. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's
Dirty Harry movies are fantastic. I like him, and even also even though he's sort of like a boomer conservative, he did a good job with directing, Letters from Iwo Jima and Flags of Our Fathers.
Yeah. He directed Flags of Our Fathers. Yeah.
He directed both.
Whoa.
Because even Hollywood's arch conservative was I can't tell a war story without telling the other side.
Yeah. Yeah.
And exactly. Plus Outlaw Josie Wales is just fucking awesome. I love Clint Eastwood. I can talk about him for hours.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do a Clint Eastwood episode.
That would be great.
Yeah, we'll pick a few movies.
We'll pick a few.
$4.99 by Gabe Under. Oh, so we're gonna.
Go ahead. Go to Gabe. Go for Gabe.
$4.99. Are we gonna get Fish Tank season 2 analysis, Gio? For some reason, it feels more dark and dirty. Getting rid of Cole and Brian was a mistake. Yeah, I know they had to get rid of Jimmy, but you know what? Content minded that drops probably Saturday. I will talk about Fish Tank season 2. I don't like what I see so far.
Gabe, how are your ribs?
How are your ribs,
Gabe? Do they put them back in?
Oh my
Oh,
god.
you missed it out because they Tukey's Mag, they did an episode and they were like, well, Gabe's not here because we turned his ribs into a tasteful nativity scene.
Whoa. And for $6.99 by Big N-Word 420 for the Hellcat Fund. Thank you, Big.
You have a
Big
Hellcat fund?
Is there a Hellcat Fund? I don't know.
Are we buying a World War II aircraft? What are we doing here?
Maybe. Anyways, for $4.99 by our good friend John Carter again. Reaction 2008 kids these days have no idea how much Republicans hated McCain, and rightfully so. Rush Limbaugh barely even endorsed him weeks before the election.
People were more excited. People were genuinely more excited for Sarah Palin than they were John McCain.
Yeah. People talked about Sarah Palin way more.
Like, Sarah Palin revitalized that dead man's dead campaign.
Yeah. The tumor was the best part of John McCain. Anyways. Whoa! Songbird McCain. And Josh Beebe for $4.99. The first time I saw a voting pension post, a voting precinct post to 110% was Detroit when Obama won. Well, of course, 2012. Yeah. I didn't get it then. Why are there so many fake registrations? Yeah, well, 2012 they had to do it, but 2008, like Obama was a religious figure in 2008, man. He was part of the civic religion. Like, you know what? A lot of white liberals, you could hear on election night the million sigh of relief. They're like, now we elected a somewhat black guy. The white liberal breathed such a heavy sigh of relief in 2008. By 2012, the novelty was over. So, is that true, Prude? Is that a good analogy?
Yeah. No, that's a pretty accurate take.
Yeah. And finally, for $100 Canadian, our good boomer friend Patrick Yehu, our amazing boomer schizo friend. Thank you so much. My God, he gave Prude a good one last week too. So
he did, and he even gave enough to translate it to American dollars, which I thought was super kind of him.
Whoa!
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Patrick. My God.
You forgot last one from Gabe.
Last one from Gabe Underground. 189. I'm keeping them out. Alternative to Ozempic.
Hey, whatever works, right?
Oh man.
You can live out that fake rumor about Keith Richards or whatever.
Oh, what about Keith Richards?
Not Keith Richards. Who was the one that Marilyn Manson, who took out his ribs to suck his own?
Oh yeah, that's an ancient millennial thing. That's not true. But yeah, so I'm gonna talk about Fish Tank Season 2 because my good friend, if people remember the Common Filth days, Ronald McFunkytown, he had a great take on Season 2 versus Season 1. So I'll get into that. But anyways, yeah, thank you, Yiz. Have a great week, y'all. Keep heart. Yes. Thank you, everyone. This has been great. Keep an eye for Content Minded this week, solo episode, but my voice is giving out. So, Prude, what do you have coming up?
I'll probably have an essay out this weekend on Substack, and then the Stalin's War series resumes next week, and we'll have the Digital Archipelago over there. In the meantime, I'm going to be doing a short little bit for the Mars.
I got to go back to solo videos too.
So I'm doing a little book review stuff with them again.
Did Pete Quinones do the Stalin War series with you?
Pete has done an episode with me, yes, and you can watch that already.
Nice.
It's out and available. But that series continues next week. I'll have an essay out on Substack this weekend. I was on Orin this Tuesday, and then I'll be busy writing more, gentlemen. That's my plan for 2024.
Well, I got to start editing, so you know. But yeah, me and Pete have to do business one day. But anyways, this has been a great episode. We covered many, many things. Very high energy for the midday, and we will be back on next week on Prude's channel, and maybe we'll have a call-in show.
Maybe
we'll see what happens. There's so many news that comes all at once.
Yes,
a week is like an eternity in the 2020s.
It really is.
Yeah. So anyways, God bless. Goodbye. Keep an eye on the ground for all of our content. God bless. Goodbye. Too sweet.
See you, gents.